What's up, everybody? It's another episode of Bill and Tony's Excellent Adventure. That's the Missouri Sports Hall of Famer, Bill Althouse, and I'm the wannabe. I'm Tony Stevens. We're live from the Sandy's Restaurant Studios here in Blue Springs, Missouri. For those of you who are not in the Kansas City area, it's one of the just one of the suburbs of Kansas City, Missouri, and Sandy's is one of the milestone spots here in Blue Springs. Thanks to Bobby Hines for having us week after week. All of our full podcast episodes are available on YouTube, also on Spotify and Patreon. You can hook up with us on TikTok, Instagram. Please like and subscribe, and you can leave comments. We do love reading those comments. I'm going to answer you back. And if you really like what you're seeing and hearing, please share. And we'll have a special guest with us a little bit later on. He's one of the most familiar voices ever in Kansas City, Mr. Randy Birch. So we're going to start with our sports hot topics of the week, as we do, and we would be out of our minds if we didn't do a big shout out to the United States men and women hockey teams.
Absolutely, man. I tell Mike Eruzione has a counterpart now.
He sure in the heck does. He sure
Johnny
in the heck
Hughes.
does. Johnny
Wow.
Hughes, with no teeth, or a
teeth.
few missing.
And I was talking to our producer Tony, and it's not just like you see these guys with like a missing tooth here. It's just like 5 of them were wiped out. And
how do you fix that, man?
I don't know, but he was feeling no pain.
Oh no!
Scores, gets his teeth knocked out, and then scores the game-winning goal,
the golden
against
goal,
Canada, the golden goal in overtime.
And
that's after the women did the same thing
against Canada.
Yeah.
And Billy, what was really it gives me goosebumps. It was 46 years to the date of the 1980 Miracle on Ice team. 46 years to the date. How about that?
That's amazing.
So the final medal count, Norway just runs away with it.
Yeah.
They had 41 total medals. The United States, not that far behind, 33. The Netherlands, 31. The home country, Italy, 30, and Germany had 26. All in all, I think it was very entertaining Olympics. I just wish it wasn't 8 hours ahead, and we had to,
I know. I know. And I went to church Sunday, and don't forget, tape that hockey game, and I forgot.
Well, of course.
And then by the time church was over, everybody knew everything.
Yeah.
So I was just trying to find some highlights to watch, but.
It was all good.
And the thing is, Tony, I didn't know any of those guys before this Olympics.
Hughes and Hallebuck, the goalkeeper, 41 out of 42 shots he blocked and saved.
Man.
I mean,
it just makes you feel good.
It really does. And those guys were so patriotic at the end of the at the end of the game. Yeah, it was all worth it to watch. It is great. Royal spring training going on. Looks like the boys are having a pretty good time right now. They're off to a good start. I'm ready for baseball, Bill. I think we got us. If we say it every year, but if they can stay healthy, I think this team is going to have a shot. And if Jack Caglione can kind of start putting things together like we think he's going to, how'd you like to have that hitting 7th or 8th in your lineup?
Oh, man. Did you see the story? He went into a ball card shop down in Phoenix, and everybody that was in the ball card shop, he bought them packs of cards. Now, come on, that's nothing to him, but how cool is it that he did that?
To have, a Bobby Witt and a Caglione, along with the second or maybe the greatest Royal ever in Salvador Perez. And, this team is poised, man. Let's just do it.
We're ready.
Let's take this thing. Chiefs salary cap issues has kind of been the dominating story. Yeah. Well, that and Rashee Rice, which we'll get to that in a minute. But just a little while ago, they took another step toward being compliant, and they released defensive end Michael Dana, who's really just kind of he's a good player. I always liked Mike Dana. He seemed like he was always in the right spot, and he pretty much started every game, didn't he?
He did.
And played most games, but he's been cut.
Well, he's been – and, I was talking to Tony, and he said, I've never heard of Mike Dana.
Yeah.
Well, nobody did this year. I mean, he was outstanding last year.
Yeah.
And he just
kind of –
he was one of those guys they kind of focused the camera on, and he'd just be kind of standing there. And, it's always tough to cut a veteran like that. But they've got to do something to clear the salary cap because
Well, they're pretty cool. Well, that one, by the way, saves close to $9 million.
Right.
So they reworked Pat's contract like they do every year.
Every year.
And Pat, they did the way it worked, just to make it simple. They basically said, here, we're giving you your entire salary up front, plus we'll give you another $10 million. So, and that reduced the salary cap. They were $67 million over. That brought them down to close to 20.
Yes.
Now, Michael Dana, and you want to make a bet for maybe a cup of coffee that Juwan Taylor's next, and they get under the cap.
Well, when you asked me, this just happened, and I was already
thought
in
it
the
was.
studio. I thought it was Juwan
Yeah.
Taylor.
Yeah.
And everybody will say, if you're not looking at the mistakes, he ranked among the best linemen in the league, but he's making the mistakes.
Well, he's led the league in penalties, offensive penalties, the last 3 years?
Yes. Yeah.
So I mean, you can't have 3rd and 1, run the ball, get 2, and then he's offside. He's a false start. I mean, that how many times has that happened?
I know.
I mean, he doesn't really let anybody get by him for the most part.
Yep.
But I don't know. His salary his cap hit is $27 million.
I know.
Just saw that. So, but they'll save 20 moving on from him.
Right.
So, I don't know, Bill. And there's been all kinds of talk about what are we going to do with Trent McDuffie, who started off gangbusters. This kid made All-Pro.
I know.
And then the Pro Bowl, and then this year was kind of
I know.
But you're going to let a guy like that go? You're going to trade him? What are you going to do?
I wouldn't let him go. And it's just like a black cloud hung over this team.
It was just a crummy year all the way around.
And, they're excited about having Bieniemy back, and by them, Travis and Patrick are excited. They can't wait. And, everything, with Kelsey, Bieniemy's back, my boy Bieniemy. And
we'll see. I think he's coming
I'm sure
back.
he's coming back. I didn't think at the end of the season, but I really think he's coming back.
I think they're going to make it. They're going to make him an offer that he probably won't refuse, because Rashee Rice is probably not coming back. I mean, I may be off base, but that dude can't stay out of freaking trouble.
No, and in talking to him after games, he just great smile, personality.
I don't get it, man. I don't.
Very
understand.
generous with his time, and then this stuff, and it's not going to stop.
Well, he did. You guys know he had got in, drag racing on an interstate with rented cars, Lamborghinis, and so this is his 4th year with the Chiefs. He's only played 1 in a full season. Yep. That was a good season. He got hurt the 2nd year, missed most of that year. Got suspended for a 1/3 of the season for the drag racing thing, and now here we go. His girlfriend, who he's been with for years, several years, has, I don't know, 1 or 2 children with.
Yes.
She's filed a civil suit, not a criminal suit, but a civil suit, saying that he abused her over and over and over again from 23 to 25. She actually had 20-some pictures on the internet of her injuries, yanked them within a couple of days. But now she has filed this lawsuit, and I don't know the ramifications, Bill. You may know this. You've been in around the leagues personally, but what happens when you get a civil suit filed against you as opposed to your criminal suit? Because you know what the NFL always does. They let it play out.
Yes.
You don't get suspended up front unless you've obviously killed somebody or something. But so they let it play out. What happens in a civil suit, which can go on for a while, and then they can make a settlement under the table?
Mm-hmm.
What's the league precedent for a civil lawsuit? Do you know?
I don't know.
I
really don't.
I don't either. So, but you said about 2 minutes ago, it ain't going to stop.
No.
I don't think, I really don't think that the Chiefs can put up with this anymore. No. They've gotten 1 year out of 4 out of this kid.
I know it.
And
when he's healthy, he's electric. His rookie year, he was fun to watch.
So right now, the only 2 receivers under contract are Xavier Worthy and the rookie kid that didn't play at all last year, Royals.
Right.
So
I don't know, man. It's amazing when you think 2 years ago this team was in the Super Bowl, going for its 3rd consecutive Super Bowl title, and they didn't get it. And since then, wow.
Well, we're going to see what Brett Veach can do.
Yes, we are.
We'll find out.
And I'll never criticize Brett Veach, but I really want to see what he does this year.
Got a lot of work to do.
The GM of the team.
Yeah. All right. Mavericks and Comets, one of our best segments as far as being upbeat all year long. The Mavericks, I say it every week to you. They don't lose. Our hockey team, Kansas City, they don't lose.
They're 48-1-1.
What?
They are in first place by 12 points in the league and by even more points in their own conference.
That's nuts.
Now get this. They have won 24 of their last 25 games. They had a 14-game
Yeah, I remember the long winning streak.
And it ended with a 4-3 loss on the road. Then they have come back and won 10 in a row. And Jack LaFontaine is back, the best goalie in the league.
He's back?
He's back. He was in the nets Saturday night. I've covered just about every home game since they've been here since 2009. 1-0 in overtime.
What?
Yes. He was phenomenal. It was unbelievable. I was talking to Coach Tad O'Had after the game, and because of some family issues and some illness, I hadn't been out for a few weeks. And I said, Tad, I know I've seen games that good, but I've never seen a game better than that. And he goes, you and me both. He said that was the pinnacle of what a team can do.
Those guys they've got to win that championship. It would be all these wins, and it won't matter if they don't win.
Oh, no,
right?
they won the Brabham Cup 3 years ago. Most wins in the league, and they lost in the championship round. But they had a great year last year and early exit in the playoffs. So they're all playing with a chip on their shoulder.
And our favorite soccer team, the Kansas City Comets.
Dude.
The three of us, especially after going down and watching play. By the way, you guys, make sure you check out our last episode or a couple episodes back. Just go and watch our episodes, and you'll see our interviews with Rion Marquez and Chad Vandegrift and Coach Steph, and they are an exciting team. And for those of you not in the Kansas City area, both of these teams play, and for those of you here too, go watch them. They both play in Cable Dahmer Arena, just east of Arrowhead and Kauffman Stadiums. And you talk about entertaining sports, but give us the update on the Comets, which was incredible last couple of games too.
The last few weeks have been insane. Really, the last week, the St. Louis Ambush, who the Comets beat 3 times this year to take the Brabham Cup, or rather the Kansas City I-70 trophy. They have an 11-3-3 record, and the St. Louis Ambush are in first place with 33 points. The Comets are in second place with 31 points, and the Wave and the Sockers, who at one time this season were in first place, are now tied for third with 30 points. Every game you get 3 points for a win, and it
changed places. With the last win, the Comets went from 5th to 2nd.
Yes, yeah.
I mean,
now there are 8 teams in the league this year. 6 of them are going to make the postseason, but the top 2 teams get a bye.
We got to get one
huge.
of those.
That's
big.
all the guys were
big.
talking about Saturday night. Was getting that bye.
Well, we're going to get back down there again. We
have to.
Yeah, it's exciting. Check them out, please. You get a chance. Kansas City Comets, Kansas City Mavericks. Of course, we're talking about soccer. This will be one of the focal points in the world, believe it or not, Kansas City, Missouri, because Kansas City will be hosting World Cup this summer. And it was announced here just in the last few days that they're going to have the World Cup Fan Fest, but it's going to be similar. If you're here in Kansas City, or if you're coming to Kansas City, which they're saying we're going to have over 500,000 people coming to a town that's got 1.2 million. So we'll see. But this Fan Fest is going to be similar to when we had the NFL draft here.
Right.
It's going to be in the same area. But this is going to go from June 11th to July 11th. They're going to have several different exhibits and things going on. So, and it's going to be free, but you do have to go online to the FIFA site to try to get tickets. That drill. But it's. Do you remember when Chapel Roan played this past summer, and they had a gazillion people out on the lawn there by the Union Station World War I Memorial? They're saying it's going to be bigger than that.
Oh,
so
I can't wrap my head around it because I've been lucky enough to cover every Kansas City Chiefs postseason game.
Yeah.
Two winning World Series for the Royals, 2 losing World Series for the Royals, a Final Four down at Old Kemper Arena. But they say brace yourself. There's just never going to be
Bill, I can't even
like,
think what this is going to be like.
No. And you know who's calling Kansas City home for a month?
Lionel Messi. I mean, could you imagine him getting in an Uber?
No, I can't.
He ain't getting on the bus, I'll tell you that.
No. I'm sure they've already got a secret route for him to. Basically every place he goes, he stays at a different hotel than the team and just tries to keep a low profile.
He won't be staying at the Queen City on 24 Highway.
No. It's going to be huge. And I retired as a sports writer last year, and at my age, I'm going to enjoy it from my easy chair in my family room because I can't imagine how crazy it's going to be down at Arrowhead and throughout the city.
Crazy, I know, but it's going to be something like we've never seen. That's for sure.
Never.
Are you a WNBA fan? Do you like the women?
I'm a Caitlin Clark fan.
Yeah.
Grace Slaughter, young lady,
right.
starred at Green Valley High School.
She's at Mizzou now.
She's
right?
at Mizzou. She's the new face of the SEC. And her goal now, she's going to graduate with a 4-point average. She's an amazing young lady off the court and in the community. But her goal is to make the WNBA.
She should be a pretty high draft pick.
Oh, she will
be.
Unless she gets hurt. If she goes in like she is now, she'll be playing for a long time.
Reason I ask is they're going to come and play a game here in Kansas City this spring. They're actually going to. It's the Minnesota team, the Minnesota Lynx. They're going to play the Nigerian women's national team April 27th at T-Mobile Center. Before that, the Big 12 men's basketball tournament's a big deal in the Kansas City area, and they always have a big gathering at the Power and Light outside. And DJ Khaled is going to be in Kansas City.
Is he really?
Saturday, March 14th, after the very last game. I guess it would be the championship
down
game.
at the Power Center.
Down at Power and Light. It's and it's his first ever performance in Kansas City. I would have figured he probably would have been here, but if we have good weather.
Oh man.
Man, I'll tell you, the crowds in this town. If the weather's good there, if the Royals are good,
if
it doesn't rain for a month at World Cup, I think but fingers crossed on all that stuff.
I know it.
Music and entertainment news this week, a lot to talk about. It's brought to you by Vito's Original Pizza in Blue Springs. We talk about those guys every week, and for good reason. Wonderful place, and we definitely it's up at the top, high on our recommend list here in Kansas City.
Absolutely.
Disney has released the first trailer for Toy Story 5.
And I saw the trailer. And,
what do you think? What'd you think?
I liked it. I think it's fascinating that it's going to be the old toys that we played with when we were kids versus the
technology.
Kid with the technology. Yes.
Yeah. I guess the trailer shows the toys grappling with Bonnie, spending less time with them and more time. Boy, that's not true, is it?
Oh my God. Yes.
So that'll be out June 19th. So that's not that far away. We talk about her a lot, and with due cause. Taylor Swift, Life of a Showgirl, is now the biggest selling global album of 2025. You're not shocked there, right?
No.
Other artists on the list, Bad Bunny, Sabrina Carpenter, Billie Eilish, Lady Gaga. And
wow, the ladies are dominating.
Yeah, they sure are. The Eagles, we talk about them a lot, and they're out at the Sphere. But I saw an interview with Don Henley, and he said 2026 is probably going to be it.
Yeah.
I think so. I guess for the Eagles, it's time to take it easy, right?
Baby.
So you've seen them, right?
Oh, countless.
Yeah.
I saw them at Arrowhead Stadium, and for the encore, Jackson Brown, and
really?
Linda Ronstadt walked out wearing FFA jackets.
And
they did like another concert.
Well, and they were all friends growing up. And
Well,
the Eagles were their back. Linda Ronstadt's backing
Stone
band.
Ponies, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
that's an amazing story. What type of talent that was involved there?
all in California guys. Yeah, it's really neat. Okay, Billy, here we go. This is going to touch. This is going to push buttons for a lot of you guys. What is your favorite, or if you got to pick, I'll even give you, 2 or 3, whatever, classic rock song of all time. And the reason I'm asking is there was a big poll that just came out. It's a website called the Top Tens, and it hosted over 220,000 different songs from millions of people who voted, and they came up with the 5 best classic rock songs of all time. So what you got? Or what?
Well,
I'll even ask you this: what do you think's on there?
Well,
what
I'm
is
sure
it? What's number one?
Stairway to Heaven. It's on every chart.
Number one.
Number one.
Yeah.
Now, for me personally, Layla.
Derek and the Dominoes. Eric
and
Clapton.
The Dominoes. Yeah, Eric Clapton. I love The Who. Any song by The Who.
You know what? My favorite song by them is Eminem's Front.
Oh, I love that.
love it. The song that Roger didn't sing.
I know Pete sang it,
Pete
and there's a
sang
little friction over that back then.
Okay, let me run these by you.
Yeah.
So number one is Stairway to Heaven.
Okay.
Number 2, Queen, Bohemian Rhapsody. Oh, Mamma Mia.
Let me go.
Hotel California, the Eagles.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys know Freebird? Yeah, so that's in there.
Yeah.
And I'm all for this one, Comfortably Numb. Pink Floyd.
Got to have someone from Pink Floyd.
But you know what dawned on me? No Beatles, no Stones.
Really?
In the top 5. Yeah, right there. I mean, there's no Beatles.
Wow.
Golden Slumbers. Carry that weight.
Oh, I love that.
Love that. Okay, so what do you guys think? Please comment. I mean, is that the top 5 best ever? I know there's a lot of you saying, yeah, those all got to be, and there's some of you saying, those are just worn out. But, okay, so please comment if you'd like. Also, let's have some fun with this. There is another site. In fact, there are several sites. You can go, guys, look this up yourselves, and you'll see the worst classic rock song of all time. And I don't think it's... But when I went and did my own research on this damn song showed up every time.
Really?
Yeah. And so it's a band, and they started out in the 60s, like the Beatles and the Stones, and they had a lot of good hits. Started at... they started late 60s. And then they kind of morphed into another band. They changed their name a little bit. You know who I'm talking about?
No.
Jefferson Starship. We built this city.
I've seen it. Yes.
Yeah, Tom.
And Mickey Thomas sings that. Grace Slick doesn't sing.
She's not.
Yeah.
We built this city.
Wow.
So
I saw them sing that at Municipal
and you were
Auditorium.
singing your ass off.
Yes, I was.
He was like, "You built this city, all right." All right, so I tell you, there are a lot of bad songs from that era. How about the Police? That's the dumbest ass songs of all time, right?
Not a fan. I'm not a big fan of the Police.
The Final Countdown. Remember that stupid song?
Did you see the commercial?
Oh, yeah.
That microwave commercial, the final countdown, and then the microwave dings. Yeah.
Mr. Roboto, Styx. I mean, and I love that band. They were great. But that song, I could see why Dennis DeYoung got booted.
Yeah.
Because that song sucks.
That was a bad... And they did a whole tour on the Mr. Roboto thing.
Yeah.
It was the first concept tour I ever saw, and it was at... I think it was at Municipal Auditorium. And I loved most of the songs, but what's this Mr. Roboto?
Well, Dennis DeYoung because he wanted to do all that concept theater.
Yeah, that's
and
why he left.
JY and the rest of them said,
Nope.
take Mr. Roboto on a road trip somewhere without us. And, I know, you've told me this, so I know this is on your favorites list, and if you don't mind me sharing it, I know that you liked Rod Stewart, but I know that one of your all-time favorites is "Do You Think I'm Sexy" by Rod Stewart.
Well, I sing that about myself.
That's what.
Yes.
So I know you're not a shy guy.
No.
And as far as the worst country songs ever, is "Hitter in the Shitter" by Tex Ritter. So moving right along, some more stuff coming to Kansas City. This spring, Union Station is having a newest exhibit, and is the Berlin Wall, A World Divided. That's going to open this summer. There have been some amazing exhibits. Again, we invite you, if you don't live in Kansas City, if you're going to make a trip here, this is a great town. And not only do we have the sports teams, we have a lot of culture things here in the city too. So if you're making your way here this summer for the World Cup, or any time for that matter, make sure you go to Union Station. You always see it on the telecasts. Yes. They show the sides of the Union Station when there's Chiefs games or Royals games or whatever that's going on here.
Now, with this Berlin Wall, I wasn't aware of that. I mean, I'm sure they're bringing sections of the wall because I've seen them on is there going to be a story? Is there going to be a host taking you through it?
Yeah, I believe so, because the exhibit is going to feature more than 300 original objects from all the importance of freedom and human rights and democracy. The collection will include several large sections of the wall.
Because there's a huge section in Ronald Reagan's museum, presidential museum.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down that wall.
Tear down that wall.
So, and this is on the heels of the Auschwitz exhibit.
I couldn't go to that.
Which is
I saw
actually,
it in Washington, and it wiped me out.
Bill, it brought over 300,000 people from all 50 states and 10 countries to this city. I mean, you talk about World Cup, that thing brought, and the Titanic exhibit was amazing.
Yes.
So tickets will obviously be limited because it can only let so many people in at once. But it's good. I don't have the dates yet, but it's going to be this summer.
Well, and you need to go see that when you can really look at it and not feel rushed. Like there's 18 people behind you. Well, I guess I better move on.
And the ticket prices aren't bad. I believe they're under $30.
Are they really?
Yeah. So it's not bad. And you and I need to. We're going to make a point to get George Guastello, who is the man, the curator down there at Union Station, and all of the things he's done that's brought to the city.
I didn't realize he was involved in all those activities.
He's amazing. He's really good. But we definitely encourage you to go to Union Station. Something else in revitalizing here in Kansas City. The days of the shopping malls, the malls, is really a dying breed.
Yep.
And probably most cities around the United States. In Kansas City, there's only probably a couple left that are any significance. And we had one north of the river, Metro North, which used to be a bustling thing, and then it basically turned to empty buildings. But now, Metro North Crossing they're redoing this.
Are they really?
Yes, and it's a mixed use. In the Northland, it's going to open multiple restaurants, Emo's Tico Taco, not Nacho Daddy, Chick-fil-A, Swig, a bunch of new things, and they're going to open an adventure park, and it's going to have the trampoline zones and obstacle courses, that kind of a thing. It's called NRG Adventure Park, and it's going to open late 2026.
Wow.
So there's a lot of development going on there, too.
I can remember when we used to get dressed up and go to
Indian Springs?
No.
Antioch?
God damn it. It's where the Walmart is.
We're here in Independence?
Yeah.
The hell? Oh, Blue Ridge Mall.
Blue Ridge. Okay. Here we go. Okay.
All right, do again.
3, 2, 1. Tony, I can remember a place that when you and I were young was so special. I mean, my mom and dad dress us up. They'd dress up, and we go to the Blue Ridge Mall. It was the first mall of its kind in the country. And it was a gathering place for you. We always saw Santa there.
Yeah.
And it's a shame that the malls have become a thing of the past, and now they have such a reputation that, if this is going to succeed, if they ever come back and make it a business of attracting people here, they're going to have some security because they just have a horrible reputation.
It's just too bad, too, because, most of them are in really good neighborhoods.
I know it, yeah.
And, when you see 25 stores closed down in a neighborhood that's, pretty nice neighborhood.
Yep.
I mean, we've both seen it. We're here in Kansas City area.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
That's too bad. Have some legal news of the week. Some of it's local, some of it's internet or national, rather. Did you hear this about how Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce are getting sued for the trademark on the name of their restaurant, 1587? I didn't know that there was a sneaker company called 1587, and it's all about the name. And the sneaker company started selling its shoes about 3 years ago now, in the spring of 2023.
Definitely before the restaurant.
But Pat and Travis trademarked 1587 in 2023. The sneaker company didn't do it until just months ago.
Oh.
But they're saying, wait a minute, it was still ours for. All I'll say is this. One of the attorneys says, and I'm quoting, I think it's a tough case for the sneaker company.
Yeah, and
I think that he's probably right.
I believe so.
Twin Peaks. I'm sure you had your wedding reception there, right? Twin Peaks.
My bachelor party.
Bachelor party, okay.
43 years ago.
Okay, yeah, that's when they were wearing bustiers in Twin Peaks. But this is a serious deal. Here in Kansas City area, the Twin Peaks facing a wrongful death lawsuit for allegedly serving alcohol to a 20-year-old just prior to a deadly crash. Court records show that David Jensen filed a lawsuit just a week or so ago against Twin Peaks and its franchise owner. It names Mason McIntyre, who's now 21, and Jensen's daughter, Jennifer Jensen. She died in a crash 2 days after Christmas. And they're saying, hey, look, you got to card these kids. And if it's fake, you got to find a way. You know what I'm talking about.
Sure.
And this young girl's life ended because of that. And I don't know, Bill, that's going to be a big payout and a big law. And there's no getting around that one.
No.
The lawsuit, this is what gets me. The lawsuit only seeking damages of $25,000. I mean, I don't know. It seems like that's kind of under, but
yes,
whatever. I feel so bad for that family.
Yeah, totally.
This is one that will not go away. The Roundup lawsuits that have been going on for years.
Do you get about 15 emails a day?
All the time.
Roundup? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah. Well, Monsanto, this just happened too, has agreed to another multi-billion-dollar settlement with thousands of plaintiffs who allege that Roundup weed killer caused cancer. Yeah. So there's been, I don't know, Bill, hundreds. Actually, it's over 40,000 plaintiffs have already won cases. How do these people stay in business? And they're settling for $7 billion right now. So how much money have they made on Roundup and all these other products over the years?
My wife lives in the yard, works in the yard. When she was working, come home, get off her nurse's garb, go out and work and work and work. But she never, ever would use Roundup. And she told me, if I ever see you buying Roundup, because I can't stand weeds in our patio out there. And I said, I'm just getting Roundup and taking care of it. And she said, you better not.
Well,
and she was serious.
It's because of one ingredient called glyphosate. That's the ingredients they said is probably carcinogenic to human beings. I don't know about the probably part, but anyway, and so now they're masking it somewhat and using it mostly commercially for big farms. But wait a minute. Who's eating that stuff that's coming out of big farms? I mean, just because I'm not spraying it on stuff in my yard doesn't mean that it might still not be coming into the general public. So, and you know what? I shouldn't say it this way, but they're still selling that shit too.
I know it. I know.
I was in Walmart last night, back in that back section where they sell the outdoor stuff.
Sure.
I was looking for some things. there's Roundup.
I know.
I mean, I'm not saying, that they haven't fixed it or whatever, but I am saying, why are we still having billion-dollar lawsuits? And Roundup still, stay out. Just don't, if you don't want to do it,
exactly,
just stay away from it. Okay, weird news of the week. We have talked about smart toilets, last week, smart underwear. Let's get back to the basics. Smartphones. They are now officially cleared for outer space. So astronauts have never taken, did you know that? They have never taken phones to outer space on the International Space Station.
Wow.
Those folks are out there for what, months, years? They keep switching the crew.
Sure.
They've had to leave their phones behind. I mean, I don't know. How do you get service? I don't understand. I'm too stupid
that's what
for that.
Ask Billy Bob Thornton. He's walking out in all those fields.
Yeah, where the Roundup is.
Yeah.
So the next crew of the International Space Station is good. They're going to send 3 new astronauts up there and a cosmonaut, and they're going to be able to take phones with them. So
wow. Well, whoever that carrier is, that's who I want, because I don't think it's going to be a problem in downtown Green Valley like it has been for me so many years if they've got their phones up in outer space.
Oh, I can just see it now. They'll get a phone call from the Bank of Botswana, and and they'll be and you can just hear them like, "You mom, call back." But there
wow.
One thing there won't be any booty calls from the space station.
There better not be.
Let's move on. Do you have, when you hear somebody from another country, or from a different part of the country for that matter, do you have a favorite accent? Do you like the
Sure.
New York accent or the British accent? A lot of people, they love the British accent, or, I know that I've seen your hair stand up when you hear young girls do the Southern twang. So what you got a favorite or one that you hate?
I like a British accent. However, if I'm watching a show on TV and it's from Britain, I had to put the closed caption on because there's a lot I don't understand.
Yeah, and their humor is so dry.
Yes, and the Cockney accent, I'm not. It just the Cockney.
Okay,
I
know. I thought you said something else.
Okay, I was waiting for that response.
Yeah.
Michael Caine used to use it in all his British movies, and you can get used to it, but it's just not one of my favorites. But yeah, when you hear James Bond and people like that,
Yeah.
And what amazes me is all these actors. Henry Cavill, Superman.
Yeah, Superman.
British.
And the guy that used to be on House.
Yeah, Hugh Laurie. That one really surprised me.
I couldn't believe it.
I know it.
Yeah. When I was growing up as a kid, boy, my house was really interesting because my mom was from Jersey. My mom was a Jersey girl.
Okay.
And she never lost that accent. Never. And my dad teased her to all be darned. But my dad came to America when he was in his early 30s from Italy. From Palermo. So my dad learned the language, but he spoke like Cousin Tony videos on the internet. Uncle Louie videos.
Ma watch out, this is shit. They're going to take my foot to kick you right in the ass.
So hearing him talk and hearing her talk in my house was actually, it was quite entertaining. The reason I brought all this up, well, I tell you, I don't know who has time to do all these damn surveys that we talk about, but apparently, a new survey shows that Eastern New York accent is slowly going away, and it's probably because people are moving to different parts of the country, and so this particular site showed all of these accents which is actually, in other words, I guess there's an Appalachian accent.
My dad's sister was single then; she had 3 boyfriends.
I didn't know about that.
I didn't know that.
Dialect, the Southern twang.
I just talk country. I'm a Georgia peach.
And the Louisiana Creole, that's an interesting one.
Gator boys, there's 2 boys that they wrestle alligators, they wrestle them. They go up underneath the water to catch them.
When Ron Guidry was that superstar pitcher
for the Yankees,
he had that Louisiana crawl, and I'm talking to him, and trying to take notes, so I'm just acting
Oh,
like
you
I
can't-
couldn't understand the thing he said.
Well, apparently they're all dying away, according to this survey.
Okay.
But it all comes as about 70% of the parents surveyed say that they want their kids to speak what they're calling general American, like this.
I had to buy some chewing tobacco so I don't look like a pajama boy sissy in there. Anybody chew tobacco?
Now, see, that's my kind of English. Right there.
yeah.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you right there. And I know that you're really disappointed because you've begun to lose your French accent.
Yes, I have. And, I spent a summer in New York working as an intern at ABC, and everybody came up to me and said, well, where in the South are you from? And I don't think I have a Southern accent, but
Oh,
to me, anybody that's the other side of Jersey
let me
is,
tell you, well, I'd
a
go back.
hillbilly.
I'd go back. That's what they used to call me when
Yeah.
I'd go back.
Yeah.
But of course, they called you Pierre because they thought. One more thing, we do. It seems. Why do I say this week after week? Another recall, and it's been more than once that we've talked about Trader Joe's. I know nothing about Trader Joe's. I've never been in one.
My wife's second home. She
Trader
goes
Joe's?
clear over to Leavenworth or wherever it's located across the state line. And, she just gets certain things there you can't get anywhere else. But
Like what?
Cookies, some dips, not dipshits, just
God,
dips.
Stacy, what are you doing, girl?
I know. She loves it though, but they're in the news all the time for the wrong reasons.
3 million pounds of chicken fried rice products. You better go check your cabinets, there,
no,
Pierre.
Is there any ramen?
I ain't telling you.
Because I've got some ramen.
And the reason the recall is because they possibly contain glass. So you may have
That's a little different than rodent turds and things like we talked about last
that's true.
week.
It's only glass.
Yeah.
So it can only cut the hell out of your mouth and tongue.
man.
This was stuff that 20-ounce packages, stir-fried, vegetable, rice, chicken. So you better check that.
Okay.
I mean, I've never been to Trader Joe's, and I hear they go. For me,
It's interesting.
where I grew up, it was Uncle Joe's in the North End.
well,
but
yes.
That's a different deal. Good news. And fortunately, we've been doing this a lot the last few weeks. In health news, there's a new blood test that can detect lung cancer before it shows up on a scan.
What?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Wow.
It involves a new sensor that can detect very small amounts of cancer blood markers in the blood samples. I'm telling you, man, the blood tests now for Alzheimer's, you could go in and get a test, and they will show the markings if you have the beginning of plaque developing in your brain, various other cancers. So this is, again,
Wow.
if we can make sure that Big Pharma doesn't get too greedy.
Yes.
Yeah. I think the researchers in America and all over the world are making extreme progress.
Oh, I hope so.
All right, Billy, we got a special guest this week. This is going to be a lot of fun the next the next several minutes. Our special guest has one of the most familiar and entertaining voices for many decades here in Kansas City, and now you can hear him all over the country. You heard him deliver the news on radio, a very esteemed news person. He was announcing at the Chiefs games, the Royals games, the Kansas City T-Bones baseball team, and most famously at the Woodlands racetrack, where you heard those crazy 3-word intros that started the beginning of every Greyhound race. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Randy Birch. All right, so we have a man that really doesn't need an introduction, because once you hear him introduce himself, you're going to go, that's him?
Here comes Woody.
Oh, my God, and 3 other words.
That's
Woody
right.
is underway.
Woody is underway.
Ladies and gentlemen, Randy Birch.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
And if you
Yeah.
could say those 3 words and go to a good college, you could make a lifetime career,
Hey,
too.
listen,
Yeah,
man,
yeah.
you've had, 2 wives because of those words?
Oh, yes. It's when Woody is underway that you get in trouble.
Oh, my God.
You know, that's why people love doing that, I think, because it's, You know, I remember you had a birthday party one year.
Oh,
and our
Lord.
deal was we had to keep Tony from going home. Jerry didn't want Tony to go home because she's planning a birthday party. I think it was your 40th birthday.
It was, yeah.
So Dean James, the program director, and I
Dean.
are in on it. We're trying to keep Tony in the station.
Yeah.
And Tony's the sweetest guy in the world, but he's got a little Italian temper, you know.
And I thought I had Junior in the car with me that day. We were going to. He's like, "You need to go to the store." I go, "What do I need to go to the store?"
So his wife Jerry is calling me, calling Dean. Keep him there. Just keep him there a little longer. So we end up. He goes home after he got mad. He finally goes home, and we have a party. And everybody in those days wanted me to do a "Here Comes Woody." So I get to the party in the backyard, and we're right next to the neighbor's yard. And I go, "Hey!" And I do the whole thing. And this dog, I swear to God, and the neighbor's dog starts chasing me. I mean, chased by a dog. It's like I think I probably did his race at the track at one time. And he gets to the end and he gets caught. He gets caught while he's trying. He's like a foot away from biting me.
Yeah, and the dog's hanging himself while this guy's Woody.
Those were some of the many stories.
Oh, my goodness.
You know, it's been 20 years since you and I worked together.
It's
Can
been
you believe
crazy.
It? We saw each other every day for 17 years, and then all of a sudden,
and then I'll never forget. But first of all, Randy was. I mean, other than the guys that did news for a living, he did news for a living, and he was the top news broadcaster in this town. So basically, in those days, it was you and Charlie Gray.
Charlie Gray, Noel Heckerson.
And Noel Heckerson.
Noel Heckerson,
I mean, but these guys, I mean, you talk about
Charlie
broadcaster.
was a very unique character. Charlie, I first met him in Iowa. In 1980, I won an award for breaking the most Associated Press stories in the history of the state of Iowa. And at the banquet, Charlie Gray was the man that presented me the award. This is the first time I met Charlie Gray. I get here in 1984, and we're in second place behind WDAF and Charlie Gray. And people don't realize in those days, WDAF was they had one out of every four listeners in Morning Drive.
Yeah.
And in those days, morning radio was a big deal.
It was big.
Because there was no morning television, there was no internet. So morning radio, people found out their lives. They set their lives by it, and
our lives depended on it.
So Jim Vogelar, it's Jim Vogelar who hires me, sends me over. He says, I get off the air, and he said, Randy, there's a fire call over at St. Luke's Hospital in the plaza. So I go, okay, Vogue, I'll go over and check it out. I get there, and I meet Charlie Gray. He's on the back of the fire truck wearing a fire suit. Wearing a fire suit, okay? They would call Charlie the fire department. This is who I'm competing against.
Yeah.
Then I find out he's on television in the 1950s.
Yeah.
Here in town.
Yeah.
So he had a thing where we'd see each other at events, and I'd say, hey, Charlie, how are you? He'd never shake my hand. He'd always be standing up. So one day at the racetrack, Bob Geigel, a former wrestler, who was a security guard there, he and I on Saturday night used to horse around in the security thing and watch all the people file out and make fun of all the BS stories I made up that night, which was a nightly thing. It was like a big Cheers bar if you ever at the Woodlands. So we're walking out and I hear a voice in the, Randy, I'm glad you're here. It's David Lawrence, who worked with Charlie. Late David, one of the great guys ever, who was there he and Rick Sutcliffe were there every Saturday night, including the last night. And he goes, could you give me a lift home? He said, our car wouldn't start. I said, sure. So we're in the car. I'm driving he and his wife home. We're going down I-435, and I said, David, what's the deal with Charlie? He says, what? I said, I see him everywhere. He won't shake my hand or anything. I said, what have I ever done to him? He goes, well, it's the fact you guys are beating us at the ratings now. I said, you can tell that old man it's going to get worse for him in the morning. He thinks it's bad now. It's going to get worse. And, of course, we had a great team. And but Charlie was a good guy. I found out later he was a good guy. We hired John Wagner, Sky Spy. Away from WDAF. And John was one of the great characters in the history of broadcasting. He'd sit there and look at cars for you folks that weren't around. You with the pig car, you knucklehead. Get off the road. You're holding up. Look at that police officer holding up traffic for three miles. I mean, he would do this every day. And, John was just amazing. We hired him, and So there was a little bit of a rift there, but that's the way the stuff goes. You realize people are your friends, but in those days it was very competitive.
Oh man,
the ratings would come out every quarter, and it was. And we were lucky once we took the lead. They were never going to catch us.
Tell everybody how you got that Woodlands gig. What we're talking about? This is Woodlands, which was in KCK, and when the Woodlands opened, it was like all casinos put together.
Yes.
You know,
it was. There was nothing else.
There was nothing else.
No.
You had the dog races, the horse racing, and the great food.
Oh yeah,
it was just a great place. How'd you get the gig?
Well, Pete Enick, I used to work with at KLSI on the Dan and Pam
Radio
show.
a lot.
I came here in 1984, and Pete did sports, and Pete realized that I was a sports trivia nut like he was, and he realized I had a history. I did high school play-by-play when I was in Iowa and Illinois and places like that. That's how I really got my start. Mm-hmm. And I love play-by-play. And that's really what I did the best, but the business kept, because of my voice, I think it kept putting me into the news situation. But Pete knew that that's what I really loved to do. So Pete calls me. I'm working a little station down here on Chrysler, KCFM, where Wes Cunningham, an old friend of mine, just hired me. And Wes is as good as gold, just a wonderful guy. And I'd been through the corporate mess. I've been through a few sales at that point. I've been through 5 radio stations at that point. And so I trusted Wes a lot. And so I get a call at KCFM from Pete, and Pete says, "Tree Man," he used to call me, "I got something that's perfect for what you do." And I said, "What's that?" He says, "Greyhound racing." He said, "If you don't do it, they may make me do it." And I hate to work. I hate to work. That was his famous thing. I always told journalists, "If I'm going to marry well and I'm not going to work again," he'd say. And he was just fun like that. So the same time, Jim Murphy, who was his boss at KFKF, is calling me, and his owner wants Jim to hire me because his owner I was successful with in Davenport in the Quad Cities a few years earlier, and helped him do budgets and set up the station when he came in and bought our station. I was one of only 2 guys he was going to keep. And I knew that he played for keeps. His name was Randy O'Neill at Sconix. He was a brilliant radio guy, brilliant. But I also knew that I'm working for a good old boy, good guy, and I'm not sure I want to get back in the. So Jim Murphy says, "Well, meet me at Murphy's Landing, the old restaurant." Mm-hmm. So I get to Murphy's Landing, and there's Jim Murphy and Dan Wassler, the general manager. He's a great guy. And they start pitching me on this job. And at this point, I'm only at KCFM 2 months. So I said, "Yeah, I'll get back to you." And I knew Dennis Rooney, the guy doing it, okay? And he was a good guy, a really good guy.
He was Randy Miller's partner.
I know
he
had 2 young kids. I had 2 young kids at the time. So I go home and I tell my wife, they want to blow out Dennis Rooney and bring me across town to work at KFKF. "Oh, did you talk about money?" I said, "No." I said, "I know Dennis. I'm not going to do that." I said, "I work with this guy. I saw him fire 16 people one day. I don't know. I just want to relax and work with my buddy Wes." Well, one of the few dumb things I've done in my life, the second time I called, they offered me a $2,000 signing bonus. Yeah. And I, of course, like an idiot, and I really needed $2,000 at the time, said no. Well, about a week later, Dan Diamond, who's doing middays, and myself go to a Royals game after I get off the air. I drive into the Royals parking lot. Now, KCFM's on Chrysler, which is 2 exits away. Mm-hmm. I lose the signal in the parking lot. I suddenly realize this guy is Springfield, and I go over to KFKF. Of course, it's loud and clear. I go to WDF, it's loud and clear, and I'm like, "Good luck, Randy, pulling this one off." So then about a week later, I get the job at the. So anyway, the day after I have dinner at Murphy's Landing is my audition. I get there, and there's 6 guys there, and guess who's the second one I meet? Dennis Rooney. And Dennis says to me, "Randy, how are things over at KCFM?" And I said, "Well, I'm working for a good friend of mine, Wes Cunningham." I said, "I don't know." He said, "Well, things at KFKF are a little intense." And I'm like, "Oh, you don't know how intense it is if I pick up the phone in the morning, pal." Yeah. So I see the lure coming around, and these guys are doing this kind of straight Jake call on it. And I thought of Ed McMahon, and I thought, this is funny. First of all, the names of the dogs are funny as hell. Okay? So you can't look at the names. And, of course, they did schooling races. So we each did, they'd bring the dogs out. We each do a race. So I thought of Ed McMahon as the thing came around, and I said, "Hey!" And I did this whole thing. I started doing movies titles. I give them nicknames. I start doing this, and I'm thinking, since I didn't want the job, I'm thinking, this will do it. They will never call me. If I didn't screw it up this time, no one ever could have screwed it up. I'm making up stuff that has nothing to do with the dogs. I'm comparing them to athletes. I'm doing all of this stuff, but just making it up as I go. I walk out of the booth, and Jerry McNeely from Sportview Television, Detroit, says, "Don't let that guy leave the building." I'm thinking, you're kidding. They thought that was good? That was my first thought. They thought that was good. So anyway, next day, I call and I got a job. And the next week, if Tony remembers, he and Mark McKay and Kathy Page came out the next week. This all happens like God has had my life set up like this. Where when things go well, they just roll. And when I get in the darkness, I trusted God and that everything's going to be all right. It always is.
That was a funny night.
So anyway, Tony's leading out dogs, and I look, and KFKF has this beautiful setup. They've got a production truck. Remember, you had your van.
We had the big,
you had your van sitting
big
outside,
RV,
big speakers.
Yeah.
I'm like, boy, KCFM is going to have trouble competing with this. Then I met the guys, and Mark's still a friend of mine, and Kathy I just love, and Tony.
Yeah.
But these are really nice people. You know, I know the owner's kind of an asshole, but these are really nice people. So I pick up the phone next day. I call Jim Murphy. He goes, I said, "Jim, is that $2,000 bonus still there?" He goes, "No, Randy, but we'd love to have you."
Well, tell him about that night. We raced the damn
dogs. Yeah, that's right.
We
and in
raced
fact, I had
dogs.
trouble spotting Tony because the dog was bigger than Tony as they went around.
That son of a bitch. Billy came from behind and got me. Yeah. I pissed on him
I know.
or something. Yeah.
But I met more people. That opened my whole life to what I'm doing now. I met more people at that racetrack, and I realized most of the baseball players during spring training would go to the Florida track, so they all were sports. I had met most of these people. I really got to know them, like Whitey Herzog, Rick Sutcliffe, Steve DeBerg was there, and Pete Enoch was might be the greatest public relations man there's ever been, because nobody, and I mean nobody, on a Saturday night bought a dinner. He created what he called Funny Money, and the waitresses were in on it. If it was a VIP, if it was a media person. We used to call them the fastest forks of the Midwest. The media people would come in, and I'd say, every Saturday night I'd look and the place would be packed. I'd say to Edic, I said, "I know no one is paying to be here tonight." But of course they bet.
Yeah.
And we had the highest handles, racing handles in the history of the business at that point, until I started doing what we're doing now. And the funny thing about it is, the reason this worked is because I never had been to a racetrack.
Wow.
So I thought, being a radio person all my life, that I'm going to have like a talk show. I got to know the bartenders. I got to know the gamblers. I go up and talk about them.
Yeah.
Talk about, hey, guess who's here tonight? Oh, this person hasn't won a race in a month. So I gave them sections of names. The hooligan set on the left-hand side. So I gave them nicknames, and I realized that at racetracks you're not supposed to say anything. But management couldn't say anything about it because people just kept coming and the people kept betting. So by not knowing what I was doing, I actually created something that nobody had ever done before. And one of my players was Jimmy Smith, who was the former Hollywood racing director. And he said, "I've never seen anything like this in my life." He says, "You actually talk to people rather than at people."
Right.
And that's the key to what I do. I just talk to people rather than that. In other words, most racetracks, and they still have this problem. And every time a racetrack brings me in, I tell the guys this, the young announcers, get to know the people. They have anniversaries. They have birthdays. This is their first time at the track. Mm-hmm. Make up a story that they won a race they didn't win. Get to know these people. You can't expect people to spend money on you when you don't spend any time with them. So that's all I really did, was visit with people. And I was very good at calling races, according to them, and got to use my play-by-play skills that I had honed for years. Yep. And it ended up to be a ride. But the only bad thing about it was I'm doing morning radio while I'm doing the 7 shows a week. So for 9 months a year, my family would make an appointment to see me. So it wasn't great for my family life. But I was making more money than I ever made in my life, and I was having fun. I was making people happy. And it was fun to go to places, and they ask you, Here Comes Woody. I mean, I did it everywhere. Yeah. Only time I ever said no, I was at a funeral. A funeral, somebody died at the racetrack, and they asked me to do one before they got in the car. They go on the hearse. I did it in elevators at the Woodlands. I did it in elevators, but we had more fun. But Pete Enoch was the guy. And I would go home from church on Sunday, and he had a show called The Woodlands Week on KCMO. He'd do every Sunday. He did it on Channel 62. And he made me sound better than I ever was, believe me. Pete would be on there. He's the greatest announcer in the country. And all of this. Pete was the greatest PR guy. Matter of fact, I'd listen to him talking. I'd say, wonder who the hell he's talking about. Then I realized as I got home, he's talking about me.
Randy, what the hell happened? Why did the Woodlands close? I mean, you and I talked about it.
Yeah.
But
first of all,
because people still ask, why'd that place close?
It was taxed out of business by the state of Kansas. Mm-hmm. Shortly after I left KFKF in 2006, I got a job at KMBZ, and they weren't using me properly. They wanted to make me into a beat reporter. It'd be like having Larry Moore go out and be a straight reporter. I mean, I'd already done all these things. I don't have nothing against that, but I'd already done these things. So Jamie LaRocca calls me one day, the racetrack general manager, and says, Randy, you've always wanted to work full-time here. I was on a per diem basis. I never had a full-time job there. So if I didn't show up, didn't get paid. So he said, we got 2,500 slot machines just passed from voters, which allowed Hollywood Casino to be built.
Right.
But they passed 2,500 slots at the Woodlands. Why don't you come back and be a full-time announcer? And I thought, and I looked around, and radio at that point was dreadful. Nobody's having any fun. And it isn't because the people there, the corporate people, just sucked it right out of them, It's all about making the next dollar rather than making an audience, building an audience. So anyway, that's just the way business goes. So anyway, I end up going back. I said, I want Teresa to meet you, because I knew Jamie for years. So Teresa and I go out, and I have a full-time job at the Woodlands again. This is 2007. Okay. One day, Randy Schultz, who I introduced to his wife, Dina Michaels.
My partner was Dina.
Yeah, and I introduced him to his wife, and he's still a friend with me all these years. Isn't that great?
And so
anyway, so Randy says, let's go, between Saturday matinee and evening show, he said, let's go to the Yard House, get something to eat. I got to tell you something. You're not going to believe this, Randy, but they may close this place. What? They just hired 140 of us back, including me. Words come down from Topeka that they're going to double tax the slot machines at the Woodlands, which they did. The Hollywood Casino and the casinos pay 22% to the state-owned slots that the Woodlands wanted 60% for. Well, no business, you operate a business, 6 out of every $10 goes out the door before you sell a Coke. Yeah. So our owner, who is a billionaire, Phil Ruffin, who owns Treasure Island, Circus, he owns a lot. He said, no, I'm not going to do that. And what he should have done at that point, of course, was sue. Mm-hmm. Because they tried to do the same thing in Prairie Meadows in Des Moines with the horse track there. They set the casino tax less, trying to get rid of the horse track. And they sued and they won in court. That's what he should have done. But instead, for 7 straight years, they go back to the legislature, please give us this new tax rate. And what was really happening is Penn National owns the Argosy and Hollywood Casino, and they didn't want the competition. But you can't blame them. Yeah. But so suddenly we get a call. I get back from vacation, and I get a call. Randy, the owner, wants to meet with everybody. We're temporarily closing, but we'll be opening up again in 2 months, probably, as soon as the state figures it out. Yeah. So for 2 months, I got paid to go out and sign my name. I would drive to the Woodlands every morning, sign my name. That's all I had to do for 2 months. They tried everything they could. They had the casino managers, they were making over $100K each. But they finally had them painting poles in the parking lot because they had nothing to do every day, waiting for the state of Kansas to wake up. So this went on, and it so here I am. So I wrote a book about it. It's on chapter 14 of the book I wrote about how absurd it was. And I realized people don't care. There was I went to all the media people I know. I wrote a book about it. Nobody cared. And I said, well, you better hope your business isn't the next one they want to tax out of it. But that's what happened.
That's really
so
sad.
It was just open corruption. And So anyway, but as I go back to the track, the person who installs the computer systems, my old friend Jimmy Smith again, who I helped out when he came here from Hollywood, as I said, in 1989. And most of my life, and if you get one thing for this show, is when you give love to people, it comes back to you.
Yep.
It's been this way my whole life.
Yep.
My whole life, when you give something, God will reward you.
We talk about
He
that
rewards
a
you.
lot on this show.
He
Randy.
rewards you every time.
Yeah.
And my whole life,
Yep.
where I am now, is like that. Because Jimmy said, I got an idea for a business. I'm setting up a web page. He said, well, you're going to be able to talk to people all over the world in the chat room and do the same shtick you do at the Woodlands.
Mm-hmm.
I said, you're kidding. He goes, no, I got a picture. He said, I'm going to have laptops everywhere at this place, and we're going to have social media. We're going to recreate it here. He said, I've got it almost all done. You're the guy I want to do it. I said, great. So then when we close, I'm like, well, what do I do now? I'm 50 years old.
Yeah.
I've got a worthless communications degree at this point. You know, I've spoken at so many funerals of friends of mine, like Danny Roberts, that maybe I'll be a minister or something. I don't know. So my wife owned a daycare business, so I helped her out, carry kids around. Jimmy Smith calls me the next 2 days later. Randy, I want you to get on the phone with me, pick a time out. I'm going to have a conference call with 11 racetracks. I want you to put 8 of your favorite greyhounds in a race and just start making up stuff like I do at the Woodlands and do a make-believe race. I said, you're kidding. No. So I get on the phone. He's got 11 racetracks on the phone. This was April 1st, 2000.
And they're all over the country.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's working at Track Data Systems. He's the marketing director there. So I call this in my book, The Great April Fools. It was April 1st, 2009. It was the ultimate April Fools. I'm making up a race sitting in my bedroom. Okay? I'm sitting in my bedroom. I had Mr. T-Bone beat Bled. I had Mr. T-Bone. Yeah. The bone. It's 7, 5, 3, and 2, the bone. Here comes the bone. So I did this whole thing. God. I do all the shtick. I did. The only thing you have to fear is beer itself. And remember, on the bun or on the run, the dogs are the best at the Woodlands. You know, all that nonsense I made up. And so I get done doing it. I'm thinking, like, back to my first audition. And I hear people laughing. And I'm like, well, it's either because it's too bad or they really liked it. So I hear nothing. You know, when you have conference calls, people are like, they're like on other planets. You don't know who they are, where they are. Yeah. So I said, Jimmy, is that what you needed? Randy, that's exactly what I needed. He said, I'll get back to you. So I said, well, you know, I'm working for my wife today. I said, I know all you people would fire me in a New York second, but can my wife fire me today? I'm a little worried about it. I got to get back to work here, you know. You guys, God bless you, but none of you are paying me, you know. So I don't hear anything. 3, 4 months.
Really?
Nothing. So I'm thinking, well, Jimmy's a good friend, and at this point, I'm praying so hard I could have. I got a job at a church anywhere in the world. I always pray every day because God's taking care of me since I was a little boy. He's just, my mom was very loving. I lost my dad when I was a young boy, and she, boy, the courage. I could tell you more stories about her, but that's where I really learned to love people, and then they'll love you back. It's from my mom.
That's right.
Because she, even though she didn't have anything, if there was somebody sick at church, she'd take baked goods over, and you know. She, as I said at her funeral, they made me speak at her funeral. I was like, God, don't make me do this. I get up there and I said, you know, all I can say is, until I was 8 years old, I thought my name was Try This. She gave me every piece of food. I mean, I was loved beyond, but we didn't have any money. And so I learned at that point, it was a good lesson for me, that you gotta go out and get it. Yeah. So anyway, I don't hear anything for 3 months. Suddenly, Jimmy Smith calls me up again. Randy, could you come down and stay with Barb and I for a couple days? I'm like, okay. He said, I got one person at Hollywood. They all love what you did, first of all. He said, I got one person in Hollywood, Aldo Leone, who I gave his first job to in racing. He wants us to do an audition for a CEO who hates racing, who runs the casino. He said he hates racing, but he likes you. So I think we might have a breakthrough. So I go down to Boynton Beach. There's Jimmy at the airport waving at me at the Palm Beach airport. We go to Hollywood the next day. He has the computer that I did the program on for their West Virginia track to be broadcast out of Hollywood, Florida. So I do a whole program like I'm at the Woodlands. I do all the shtick, all the race calls, threw in a little extra on everything. We get done. We go down and see Aldo Leone, who just met with the CEO. And both of those guys looked like death. And I thought, oh, I must have really sucked. So anyway, Aldo says, Randy, you're one of the most talented people I've ever met in my life, he said. And I want you, if you get this job, to be the dead horse in the closet. I said, the dead horse in the closet? He said, yes, I want them to keep paying you forever. He said, don't even know you're there after a while. Well, we drive up, and Jimmy Smith is the sweetest guy. Matter of fact, if you remember the name James Smith, pray for him. He's going for cancer treatments now. But he's to say he's been instrumental in my life is an understatement. He says he'll do anything for anybody. He's like Bob Geigel. We talked about the Woodlands. Do anything for anybody. Jimmy doesn't have a poker face. Okay, so I know something's wrong. The CEO decides I'm going to put it on hold for now. So we're driving up there. I said, Jimmy, I've been in broadcasting 30 years by now. I said, there's nothing you can say to do to me that hasn't already been done. So don't worry about it, buddy. What's going on? Oh, he said, you were. I said, did I suck? He said, no. He said, you were better than you used to be. He said, I couldn't believe it. I thought, I'm a little upset. We should have a contract today. Don't worry about it. It's okay. I said, I'm not wondering where my next meal is coming from. Everything's good. It's all right. I appreciate you having me down, It was very nice of him. Well, about 2 months later, after I do this thing, we do a contest. It's nationwide. Jim calls me up and said, Randy, can you do 3 shows a week at Hollywood starting in December, which was 2 months? He said, I signed the contracts to track data. He said, I'll put all the equipment in your computer so you'll be able to do it. Can you do it? Can I do it? Well, my wife at this point is buying Christmas gifts, and it's a little tight. We're not hurting, but it's a little tight. And she's at Walmart. And I said, yeah, Jimmy, I'll be right with you. I get on the other phone. I said, honey, buy those grandkids anything they want at Walmart today. Throw in a few extra things. I said, I just got a contract with Hollywood. She goes, great. Well, that's good. I didn't know when we signed the contract we had 6 weeks to raise the handle. And if you ever run a business, 6 weeks is not long to do anything. So Jimmy's panicking. He hasn't told me that we have 6 weeks at this point. But I could hear it in his voice. We talked about what I did each night. He talked into my ear, which was funny as hell. Because the gamblers would come on with me and he'd say, Randy, that guy lost more races. That guy could stop time. He'd say, while I'm interviewing the people, he'd be talking about me. He said, yeah, he's still got a ponytail, doesn't he? He said, in the day in Boston, he said there'd be 10,000 guys like that with ponytails. He said, watch out for him. While I'm talking to these people, it was just insanely funny. So Jim's like that. So I don't know that we have 6 weeks or all of this I've done. Now this is 3 auditions? Yeah. All of these things I've done. Could have been. That's it. But God just kept. I think what the good Lord is doing here, He's using me to try to protect a business that's being lied about, and people are trying to force them out of business like they did at the Woodlands. The Woodlands. I think that's my lot. It isn't as bad as Moses, but sometimes, But anyway, so we don't raise it in like 1 or 2 weeks. It's about the same. It's flat. It's not bad, but it's not good. About the 3rd week, we go 50,000. Then we go up 100,000. First year, we doubled the handle at Hollywood. Well, then they sent me to their sister track at Tri-State in West Virginia. And it's hard to describe that situation, but needless, they were handling $25,000 a night, which at a racetrack, if you can keep the lights on, $25,000 a night. So track data, where Jimmy worked, gave me some money to take the racing department. Do a show for him, Randy, and take the racing department out for drinks on us. So I'm sitting there telling them what they're going to do and what we're going to do. I have the whole racing department of this place. Teresa's with me. And they're all kind of snickering. I said, what's so funny? Well, Randy, if this was an important show you're doing, you wouldn't be coming to us. It's kind of like that's how they thought of themselves. Yeah. I said, let me tell you something. I've never lost anything I've done in my life. And if you think I'm going to start with you, I say, you don't know Jimmy Smith. You certainly don't know Randy Birch. and we quadrupled the handle there in a month. And that same track that did $25,000 a night, I'm proud to say did $714,000 last Friday.
Wow.
The business is doing, we did $353 million at 2 racetracks in West Virginia this past year, which is $5 million more than they did. And you might think I'm getting insanely rich, but I'm not. I'm still making the same amount of money. But the fact is they have to have me. So Mrs. Birch and I have turned this, I mean, we've had such a wonderful time. We go out, people we don't even know come up to us. I unfortunately, because I work 52 weeks a year, I had to miss this guy's great retirement party, which must have been a party for the ages.
It was.
If I would have told stories, though, they would have never gone home if I would have started. But it was just great. I love your big cassettes. This is the greatest guy ever. In fact, they had 40 years at one place. We used to talk about it.
Yeah.
How's Tony doing this? Jim Murphy, his old program director, sent me a text. He said, "Can you believe Tony lasted all this long? He outlasted all of us." We were all so happy for you because we all love Tony.
But well, you're so sweet. But the things that we would do before your newscast, I'd come in there with Roy Mercer CDs or Willie P. Richardson.
We did everything.
Prank phone calls. And you could hear him screaming laughing from down the hall. And then he'd have to go on and, break a news story about murders.
The office people said before I left KFKF, "Randy, could you record one laugh before you leave?"
I'd go in there and stick the CD in without him knowing it. And he'd go in there and punch the CD and go, "How big an old boy are you?"
Well, we used to do fake air checks. Dan Roberts, myself, and Barry McKenna would do fake air checks. So when the program director would come in, Dean James, who was just a piece of work. Dean was one of these guys from Boston. It was funny as hell. And Dean, you'd have an air check meeting with him or something. The program director would go, "Well, let me go to the Randy Birch file. If I can find it that low, I believe it's in there somewhere." He just bust your balls, and we all loved it, of course. Yeah. So one day we made up a fake air check, and I said, this asshole Dean James we have down the hall, lady, he thinks he's listening to this, right? I'm saying, "This place is ripping you off." And I'm making up stories.
God, it was right? So...
And he thought it was real, so we did stuff like that all the time. But it was fun. It was fun, and we were very fortunate. We did 6 straight years we were number 1. You remember that?
It was
I remember standing
insane.
next to you that we had a 13-3 share in 1993 that spring, which has never been topped.
Never been done.
And never will be. Now it's like 6 stations put together.
Yeah.
So it was a wonderful and the thing about it was like the Woodlands, KFKF, KLSI when I was there. And every radio station I've ever been at that's done well. I've been very lucky. Timing has a lot to do with all of this. Yeah. But I was in Cedar Rapids. We beat the number 1 station, WMT, not because of me. We just had a great team at the right time. We went to I went to Davenport, and we beat KSTT, which was the Dynasty station. Then we came here, and it took me 2 stations, but we got WDAI.
I got to tell you.
So 3 in a row, and I know I was just a small part of that, but I really was, because when I first got into radio at a little station, I just learned to do everything. And I was single all the time, so I'd spend 20 hours a day at the radio station. I figured out how to do continuity. I figured out how to be a music director.
Yeah.
I ended up having all those jobs and almost, So once I got here, I could help Tony be better because I knew what he was doing. I could help this person be better because I knew these things. And even though you're starving and you're not making much money at the little stations, that's where you learn the business.
I'm going to tell one of the funniest stories.
You can make mistakes there.
One of the funniest stories ever, and you're gonna remember this, and you're gonna die laughing. When we were back on State Avenue.
Oh yeah.
You know what story I'm gonna tell. Yeah.
The Crawdad or whatever it was.
Yeah. We had back-to-back stations. I was in the main studio, and his newsroom was directly in front of us, like where producer Tony is, and there was glass there. So he was in there. Who were you with? The governor?
Yeah, I was with the governor of Kansas.
He's with the governor of Kansas.
Yeah,
so, and I'm
And I'm looking at Tony.
I'm making all these faces at him and everything.
I think he's trying to crack me up, is what I think.
Yeah, so he's facing me, and the governor's got his back to me, so he don't know. I'm like flipping him off and everything. But then I notice there's something on the mic stand. So I'm like,
I'd never seen
and he thinks I'm still fooling around. This thing looked like something out of a Japanese horror movie.
All I see is his little head
Oh, my God.
And this
It's a
it looks like
spider.
it looks like
a
a tarantula. It was what it looked like.
it's crawling
I
up
thought
and
it
it's
was like
about to-
watching a movie while I'm interviewing the governor.
Yeah,
Like
and it's like the governor doesn't see it, but he's
Governor Hayden.
Yeah, and
Governor
he's
Hayden.
like sweating
Yeah.
bullets. I
God,
see
yeah.
him sweating.
Oh God, it was
But
just
all of
more.
a sudden, you like stopped it, and you're like beating the shit out of this fucking thing.
I went in. It was like I thought he was. He was big enough. Tony's small enough. He could have ate Tony. He looked like it went. Oh, we had more
Oh
fun.
my God! But
Yeah.
it was like that every week.
Oh,
I mean, it was something every day. We had something
and
in there.
I, of course, was a mess because I'm working 80 hours a week, 9 months a year. I mean, I'm waking up in the middle of the night, not knowing if I should do a newscast or do another
Yeah.
Woody. I mean, and it got to the point. I did this for 6 years.
Yeah.
And it got to the point. Once they went year round at the Woodlands, the first thing that happened at the Woodlands, the dogs made millions, and the horses always lost 8-9 million in 2 months. Horse business is expensive business.
Yeah.
Expensive business. And they never drew well. Well, the reason they never draw well is because we were nonstop rock 'em and sock 'em at the dog track where once you got in there, I never let you sit down for a minute. There was something going on all the time. In horse racing, they have like 30 minutes of nothing because they have to study all these racing forums and all this stuff. And the people didn't like it. So they'd have me, so to get around that, they'd have me come out, do once a year, I'd do a horse race, a quarter horse race. And all the employees would come up to me because we went 9 months with the dogs through the end of Memorial Day. And then I was like being back in school where I have 3 months off during the summer. It was great. I could actually meet my family again and get caught up on a few years of sleep. And so they would have me out once a year, and I would do that. So, but that was the first thing at the Woodlands. But the main thing was the tax on the slots. And you know, I'm not a bitter guy or anything, but there was a lot of people got hurt by that. I saw people lose their homes, people having to move. I saw my best friend in the world, Bob Geigel, who was an all-star wrestling legend. He and Bulldog Bob Brown, Mike George. I used to call him Gorgeous Mike, who he was in charge of the escalator. And he'd sit at the top of the escalator, and I said, I'll tell you what, at the end of the night, Gorgeous Mike George is here tonight, all-star wrestling legend. I'll tell you what, he's been sitting in that escalator now for 20 years. Every time I come back, he's there, and not one person stolen that escalator in all this time. He's guarded that escalator. That was a joke we did. We did that stuff every night. But Bob, so for the 7 years until the Woodlands closed, again, we're trying to get the same tax for the same state-owned slot machines. Or as I used to say to the media people, if the taxes were reversed, you'd have no casino. You can't expect this.
Right.
So anyway, but it's like, oh no, the racing's old. No, the real thing they were afraid of is we would have beat them with both of them. That's what they were really afraid of. So that's why they had to do this. But
That's a shame.
Bob Geigel, for instance, and I'm not going to get into it, but he'd have security guards that would stay there for 6-hour shifts by themselves, watching the place. For 7 years, the owner paid security people and casino people to come in and do nothing. For 7 years. And he had enough money, it didn't matter. So Bob fell off his chair and broke his hip and later passed away. And, of course, he sat there for a long time because nobody was there. So if they think I'm going to forget about that, my best friend, no. But we had so much fun. Bob would call the Tuesday lunch bunch. And Bob was a wrestling legend. He ran the Central States forever. And, you know him.
Gus Karras and Bob.
Oh, it was just the best. And I had he and Bulldog Bob Brown.
Yep.
Rufus R. Jones. Rufus would always sit on the left-hand side. He talked like this. He said, Randy, can you believe this damn place? I can't believe the stuff you made up tonight. It's unbelievable. Rufus, one night, he opens a bar at 23rd in Brooklyn. Randy, I got my liquor license. You better come see me Sunday night. And, of course, I'm in between wives. He goes, I'll get you laid. You come Sunday night. And, of course, his wife used to make, on Sundays, would bring sweet potato pie she'd make. Oh, God, it was good. So I knew Rufus was fun, so I said no a couple Sunday nights, and then finally I succumbed. I went out there. He's got me dancing. I'm the only white person in the place, which doesn't bother me at all, by the way.
Yeah,
I love the people. Doesn't bother me at all. Yeah. I'm dancing with people. I don't know. I don't know who it is. I mean, I think Sammy Davis Jr. I don't know what. So anyway, I'm saying to Rufus, we're up all night. I drove to the radio station from the bar, and for whatever reason, when I never sleep, and this happened a lot. I mean, it wasn't that I went out drinking all the time because I didn't. but I ended up doing this gig and then doing that gig. At one time I was announcing with Dan Roberts at the Chiefs. I was doing and since the same production group ran the Chiefs and liked what I did, I was doing the Brigade of the Arena League, the Chiefs, the Woodlands, and the Kansas City T-Bones.
You were doing the T-Bones.
All at the same time. All at the same time. So my problem is I never say no to people. Anybody in broadcasting knows that you really don't ever say no to people, because if you don't, there's somebody that'll do it.
Yeah.
So when an opportunity comes along, and it was all stuff I had fun doing too. I mean, where his son Nick works now at the Monarchs was the greatest fun. We made up stuff. I had the Burger King K-Man. We invented that would come up. I'd say, all right, here's the left fielder for North Platte or whatever. If he strikes out, everybody in Section 5 gets a free Whopper. So let me hear you now. And I start going, Whopper, 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 the whole section. The opposing teams guys wanted to kill me after a while. They just, who's doing this? So we did stuff like that. Oh, it was just more fun. Eddie Pearson would hit a home run. That baby may go down I-435. So I would basically do my racetrack stuff at the baseball game. And since it was minor league, they loved it. So if it felt good, you said it, but not overshadow the product, you know. So anyway, I'm glad they got new ownership now and management, because we were packed every night. And then I realized that bills aren't being paid or something. Like, how in the world can this be going on? You know, so you never know. But they're doing great. I haven't met the new owner, but I'm sure glad they're doing great, because I had 3 great years. And the toughest thing I ever had to do was tell Chris Brown, who I love Brownie, who used to be the Royals' bat boy, just the greatest guy in the world, that I was going back full time at the Woodlands and couldn't work for him anymore. It was, I'll remember it was old time. It was the All-Star game. And I got a thrill of my life. I got to announce Buck O'Neill's last at bat in 2006, and I love Buck. Every time I interviewed Buck, remember I used to bring down the radio station, he'd always end the interview. The greatest thing in my life is loving you. He'd do that to everybody. He was the sweetest, most wonderful. And he never had despite the fact that he was treated badly, kept out of the major leagues, he never had, he said, I asked him one time if you thought you were before your time. He goes, no. He says, I got to go out and drink with Duke Ellington. I got to eat with Babe Ruth. He said, and play these guys in exhibition. He said, no, old Buck was right on time. Yep. He was right on time. He was just, and Joe Posnanski did a book. I know Bill knows Joe. Sure. Joe is a great writer like Bill. They're just the great writers, and I really hope they have a forum someday. I don't know where all of this is going, but great writing is like what Bill does, and Joe Posnanski. It makes you cry when you read it. It's really good. It's really well done. And so anyway, 10 radio stations, probably 6 pro sports teams. And last week I celebrated my 49th year in broadcasting. 49 straight years. And if you think that's easy, but here's what happens. I always get pushed to a brink where a new owner comes in. And I remember Ellen Shank called me up. I worked with the KMBC when she read about the Woodlands. She said, Randy, what are you going to do now? I said, Ellen, I'm going to pray really hard. That's what I'm doing right now. She goes, well, Randy, pray for me, because I'm going to get out of this damn place as soon as I can. But anyway, God always pushes me to the brink, and I tell people, God will take care of me. I have faith. And then it always happens that way. So I always get there. But it's the path of crawling through, My first, just getting to college was a hard thing, because I'm working at nights in high school after my dad died. We sold our stuff, we moved into a little apartment, my mom and I. And I didn't have enough money to go to college. And I'm working at night, so keeping my grades I was able to do it. But, so I'm $1,500 short. I'm accepted at Brown University, but I'm $1,500 short. So I go to the bank where my family has a history with and always paid their bills. They looked up at radio and realized I was making starving wages once I got out of college, and they said no. So I thought to myself, and my brother's with me, and he's just my older brother who had moved out at that point. He was like 7 years older than I am. And at that point, I thought I was going to push a broom at that factory for a long time. I didn't know what was going to happen to me. So one day I come home from work at night, and I'm tired, it's 9:30, and my mom, that little apartment, says, son, why don't you go over to First National Bank where you have your account? And I had saved like over $1,000 just doing janitorial work at night. I said, nah, they'll probably say no too. She says, you never know when you try. God's looking out for you. You never know if you try. I go over there, and my mom doesn't know this at the time, but the gal's name was Betty. I get to the bank, and Betty said, Randy, I'm looking over your stuff. You've really worked hard for this. I saw your SATs. You've really worked hard on this, haven't you? She goes, is Twyla, that was my mom's name, is Twyla your mom? I said, yeah. She says, how are you guys doing? I'm sorry I read you lost your dad. This is little town Dubuque, Iowa. So everybody knows pretty much everybody. I said, well, it's been a little tough, but we're going to be okay. God's looking out for us. It's going to be okay. She says, I worked with your mom at the butter company 15 years ago. They worked on the assembly line 15 years earlier. I didn't even know my mom worked at the butter company. She says, I just love your mom. Would you give her my best? How is she? I've been thinking about her and all this stuff. And I said, then she starts looking at your paperwork. I don't know if they're going to go for this, but I'm going to push for it. She said, and you give your mom the biggest hug for me in the world, will you? And you should be proud. You've really worked hard on this. About 2 days later, she calls me. We got the loan. So I called Brown University, and I made it the second semester, which was an interesting time because I didn't realize people in Minnesota don't think highly of people from Iowa. They don't think highly of you at all. So it was a little bit of culture shock because I get up to Minneapolis, and first day we all introduce ourselves, and I started second semester again. I'm Randy Birch from Dubuque, Iowa, and everybody starts laughing. I thought to myself. But I'd already been through the fire at that point, just getting there. So I can proudly say that I was the first one out of that class to get a job, and I got a job before I graduated, which I probably shouldn't have taken because the place was just, it was hard to describe the first station I was at. I'll just tell you this, the manager embezzled money out of the station in Falls City, Nebraska. And again, God's trail for me started out on a tough note because the week before I'm supposed to graduate, we're watching Charlie's Angels. This is how long ago it was. In my dorm room, I was the only one that had a TV. So the three of us are watching Charlie's Angels, and we hear a crash. Some guy's drunk, hits a car, pushes him through the intersection, pushes it into my car, of course. It pushes it against a tree. So I'm looking out, and there's my car that I worked my rear end off for in high school, sitting next to a tree, crunched up. So my brother, being mechanically inclined, which I never got that gene whatsoever, they passed on me on that one. He says, look, I got AAA, we'll get it towed down. You got to figure out a way to get to Nebraska yourself. So the irony of all of this is, my first job in broadcasting, I took a Greyhound bus. The man who's known worldwide for doing Greyhound racing takes a Greyhound bus to Nebraska, stopping at 28 convenient stops on the way to Iowa. And oh my God, it was just, it took me 2 days to get there. I get there, I have everything I own in a suitcase. I get off, this is how glamorous radio is. I get off, and it's a white building that looks like one of those old Sinclair stations. And I could even see the driveway where the gas pumps used to be. And I'm looking at the address, 2051 Stone Street. I'm thinking, this can't be this place. This looks like a goddamn gas station. What the hell is going on here? I'm going to come all this way, and how am I going to get out of here? I spent all my money getting a bus to come down here.
Greyhound.
Greyhound bus. So anyway, I walk in, and hell, man, who was like Ted Baxter. He had one of those infected voices. But NBC is going to call me any minute, Randy. I'm still standing by the phone. He was like Ted Baxter, the Barry Tyler Moore show. He was just like that. I walk through, and they've got Go Big Red carpeting. Everything's Nebraska football. Go Big Red garbage cans.
Yeah.
Well, young man, how do you like the station? Oh, good, Mr. Mann. I said, I really appreciate the opportunity. I was the first guy in my class to get a job. I said, thank you very much. Well, you know, it used to be a gas station. So that's how I started out. If you wanted to get a hold of Hal, after 9 o'clock, if you had business to do, you interrupted a card game next door at a place called Louis' Lounge, which was right next door. And that's how we figured out he was embezzling money out of the radio station. In those days, they would hook, they'd do $20 a holler, and they'd hook, actually, the little towns, they'd hook cash to an affidavit. And one day the secretary goes in, there's loose affidavits, people are being double billed, and there's cash. See, and that's what was going on. So anyway, that was but because he left, I got to learn, and I was then the guy, I got to learn every aspect of that radio station. And I worked 7 weeks one time without a break. 7 straight weeks, because you had to fill in when you're being program director. You had to fill in for guys that weren't there.
Yep.
So I was getting to the point. I was getting homesick, and then Brown relocated me to Iowa, and I worked a year and a half at Mike Murphy's hometown at KBIZ in Ottumwa, which was a TV radio place. And I did everything there too. I did sports play-by-play. I did an afternoon show. Had some real characters at that place. We had one guy that followed me on the other, couldn't say L's. His name was Rick Sashier. So I used to run to my car after I get the network news to an afternoon drive. Was going home with Birch, my big drive time audience in Southern Iowa. Probably had 8 people. So anyway, I go out to the car, and to hear him do the ID, he couldn't say an L. So it was KBIZ Ottumwa. It's 6 o'clock. I couldn't wait to get home. Every ID, he never realized he couldn't do it. It's 8 o'clock.
Oh,
it's 9 o'clock. I said, God, I got to hear this, but it's going to end at midnight, of course. But it's just so. Yeah, this was some of the characters I worked with at that place. I mean, the people you work with in broadcasting. And for some reason, you think I'd remember ministers in these little towns I lived in, or somebody of note, like a Bob Geigel or something.
Yeah.
I remember, and Max Floyd told me he's like this too. I remember every person I ever worked with in radio. I worked at 10 radio stations. I know everybody at KFKF.
Remember JJ with the rat?
Oh, yeah. He was just tremendous.
Oh, my
Julian Riding.
Yeah, we had a guy that worked overnight, JJ, and he'd come in. You know,
yeah.
we both came in the morning, and he'd tell us, there's a rat in here.
Oh, yeah.
There's a rat in here. So I'm standing on the chair, and, you know, I've got, there ain't no goddamn rat. This went on for months. We were at 42nd and 41st and State Avenue, a place that had no windows.
No.
It was 9 feet
You were
tall.
next to a graveyard. I thought I saw a couple of ghosts run at me early in the morning.
We were behind a cemetery, and a venture loading dock.
Yeah,
it was a dead end.
And there was a Pomida disc.
Remember the signs that said "Beware of snakes"?
Yeah,
yeah, we had that. Yeah, and there was a rat in there too.
Oh, there was more than that.
Before
Tony and I were even there, they had a guy die on the air.
Yeah.
So you had a feeling there was a ghost in the place.
Yeah.
And it was this little shack.
Oh, God.
So Randy O'Neill, who the owner comes in, and I hadn't seen him in 5 years since I helped him set up his Davenport stations. He comes in.
Oh, and he's old GQ.
He comes in.
Yeah.
And he shuts the door behind me. He says, I thought I raised you better than this. Why the hell did it take? And you said, you dumbass, you gave up $2,000. He said, I thought I'd never get you over here. He says, I'll tell you what we're going to do. This is how visionary this guy. He said, I brought Mark McKay in for afternoons. I needed him to beat WDF. I need you to beat Charlie Gray in the morning.
Yep.
We're going to move out of here soon and get you a new studio. He said, then he says, you hate the control board, don't you? And of course I did. It was like one of these old Gates boards. They had four knobs on them. You had to almost move 2 hands to move them back and forth. But at that point I didn't care. You know, at least I escaped KCFM and the man from Springfield who had the magic ideas. So anyway, he's just crushing me. He goes, we'll get you there. And sure enough, we ended up. We were at the Plaza about a quarter year,
floor.
And I knew once.
Yep.
I knew. Like I told Randy, the one thing I knew about him is he knew how to win, because I won with him before, and he knew how to do it. He was so bright. He'd figure out what everybody else's promotions budget was at every other radio station, and he'd up at $75,000.
Oh yeah.
So whatever somebody else did, he'd spend an extra $75,000, and he knew people on the air. He said, "I got you here. I brought McKay in from Washington D.C.
Yeah, it was great.
He said. This station, he's got everything else. Tony's the best music director in America. We got everything else. It's gonna go on.
I owe him everything. Same way with me.
And Wes Cunningham, of course, at this point is dying on the vine over KCFM, who gave me the job. Too. So I got Wes in.
Yeah,
I got Wes in. So I was able to pay Wes back
for
being nice to me. Because I remember when Wes called me, it was about the time of the San Francisco earthquake at the baseball game, 1989. At this point, KMBZ had laid 7 of us off to a sale. So at this point, I'm praying. I remember I was a deacon in the church up north. I'm just praying that something comes along. And Wes calls me up about Tuesday. And he goes, Randy, I was talking about you, that job. And he says, I was wondering. I said, Wes, I just prayed you'd call this week. I said, let's talk money once I get there. I said, if you're wondering, I'm accepted. and so Wes needed a job because the independence thing was going nowhere, as I told you. So I was able to slide guys. The one thing I've always been able to do is help other people. I got out of that Ottumwa job to go to do mornings at Cedar Rapids because I let a guy sleep on my couch who was following me on the air. His name was John King, before Rick Sash here. John comes down from Des Moines. They won't even put him up at a hotel. So we're the only young single guys in the station. And this was the thing I went through at every station. I was always like 20 years younger than everybody there. And I was the only single guy. So they're all trying to set me up with people to trap me at these places, you know. Oh, I got a sister, Randy. You got to meet this one. No, I always kept in mind that I'm not going to get involved until I'm at a place I want to be.
Well, you're lucky. You're lucky you didn't get married down there at Rufus R. Jones's place. That's what I was waiting on.
Randy, I got a hot one here for you.
Oh,
the
Lord.
corner. This woman used to come watch me wrestle every Saturday night at Memorial Hall.
Yeah.
So anyway, so John King was the guy's name, and John, I used to call him Iggy, follows me in the air, and I go, John, I said, there's not much to see in town, but once you get off, you want to call me up, I'll take you out and show you around a little bit. No, Randy, I need to find a place to stay tonight. I said, these cheap asses. He comes in from Des Moines. I said, these cheap asses didn't get you a hotel or anything. I said, oh, God. I said, I got a rollaway bed. I said, just stay at my place till you find something. Well, John ends up getting a job in overnights at Cedar Rapids, which is a bigger market. And they need a morning person. And he says, well, Randy's the best guy down here in southern Iowa you'll ever hear. But what he's really saying is, Randy let me sleep at his couch for 2 months and helped me get. So everything I've done is predicated on that. And I thought back to a gal when I worked at a nursing home when I was in Minneapolis at college. Her name was Elsie. And this always comes back to me because, you know, this is how God sets up stuff. If you watch, you'll see what your path is. She said she used to visit with me after I'd mopped the floors at night. She'd always come down. I guess didn't have any family. It didn't seem like her or anything. And she'd visit with me. We talk about life. We talk about the Vikings, the Twins, or whatever it was. Her kids, her everything. And I do that every night. And one night she says, Randy, she says, you've got life figured out. And I said, at this point, Elsie, I'm trying to make enough for books for next semester, and I'm doing this job. I'm doing a radio internship at WWTC in downtown Minneapolis every morning. That's where I really learned radio. Because the guy coming in, Tom Myrie, would be half in the can. His hair would be flying out everywhere. Oh, I got to go to another damn station event last night, Randy. I'm glad you're here. You got my coffee made. You got all my stuff pulled. I said, yeah, I got you, Tom. He goes, thank God. I was hoping it was your day today. I feel like shit. He goes on, 6 o'clock, WWTC, Minneapolis, all news all the time. Never makes a mistake. Same guy I saw in the hallway a couple of minutes ago. And but anyway, Elsie at the nursing home says to me, no, you've got it figured out. I said, Elsie, I'm lucky to be here with you today. If I don't get $1,500 from a bank person, I said, I'm just trying to make it through. I said, she goes, no, you got to figure it out. She goes, why? She says, you're talking to me every night. She said, the secret to life is you give love and you get love. She said, that's why I'm so happy. I don't have any friends around here except you, but you've got to figure it out. And I held on to that forever because that's what it is. Life is no harder than that. And you don't see it because you're thinking yourself all the time. So if you got a chance, you know, I've told young broadcasters this. If you can help somebody out, help a kid out.
Yep.
Help a kid out. We all need help. Nobody gets to where they're at by themselves. So anyway, the Cedar Rapids job, I do a live audition. I said, I'm not going to mess with tapes. I told Cal Stout, the program director, when he called me, I said, I'll come out and do a live audition for you. And this is a 100,000-watt station. I'm 21, 22 years old. It's a pretty big job. News director, morning. Mm-hmm. So I get up there and I do it. I remember I was nervous as hell. God, just relax, Randy, for TV. I remember the whole deal. Drive it up the road. I get in, meet Cal Stout. I used to listen to a WHO when I was a little kid in Des Moines. He went all over the country. I do the audition. He calls me. He goes, you know who Jim Vogelaar is? And I said, he works at KIOA. I listened to him in high school. Yeah, big voice. He goes, you sound just like a young Jim Vogelaar. He said, I can't believe it. You look like him. He said, you sure you aren't the same people? Well, 3 years later, another station, guess who calls me out of the blue in Kansas City to come work at a new station called Class E93, KLSI? Jim Vogelar.
Which is now Mix 93.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is now Jim Vogelar. And he said, we're building a station in Kansas City. I want you to come down and work with Dan and Pam in the morning. And that's when I said goodbye to Randy O'Neill in Davenport and came to Kansas City. And to say that was a little intimidating and fun. But I remember everything about it. I mean, I remember driving over the Paseo Bridge. I'm listening to old Walt Bodine, who became a friend of mine, doing Nightline on WHB. Night Beat on WHB as I'm driving in. And every station I went to, this is the fun thing about radio when you were young. You go to the town, you'd listen to the guys. Yeah, I'm better than he is.
Yep.
Oh, I'm twice as good as he is. Then you go to that third button. Holy shit, that guy's good. That's the way it was. That's the way it was, and that's what I did. That's what I did. So I come here, and Jim Vogelar, they put me up at the Crown Center. Vogue comes down and says, come here, kid, I got to show you something. We go to the parking lot. The KLSI news car was a 1984 Mercedes-Benz station wagon with gold letters on the side of it that said Class E93. So this is what you're going to be driving to work every day. So I said, Vogue, I appreciate that, but the car is more than you're paying me. It's got to be worth more than you're paying me. He goes, that's right, kid, enjoy the car. Good to have you here. And Vogue, unfortunately, I lost to, couldn't stop smoking. He learned it in the Marines. He learned it, as my uncles, they learned it in Korea. They couldn't stop. And so I lost Vogue along the way. But boy, and like Jim Smith, there's about 3 characters. If you look back on your life, there's usually about 3 or 4 characters. And God bless them. And I always want to be that character for somebody. And I was able to do that with some people along the way.
Oh, yeah.
And because that's really what it's about. And I'm not smart enough to think how God thinks, but I know if you think anything is a coincidence in life, it's all laid out. It's all laid out. It's all laid out. And if you think you're going to change it,
it is again.
You know, I made God laugh 1,000,000 times by telling him what my plans were. I made him laugh, I know, 1,000,000 times.
You know what, Randy? You just said something that we say to each other all the time, and we've said it with a lot of our guests. There are no coincidences in life.
No. I was meant to meet Tony. I was meant to be with you guys today. And God has a beautiful plan. And I feel sorry for people that don't know that. And I don't want to get religious or anything with you, but it's really true.
It is.
You're not here, you know. But that's okay, you know. It's just, and I've been lucky enough. I've done this internet show now for 16 years. For 13 years, it was owned by Track Data. And then one day I get a bombshell in an email that Track Data is not going to operate the website anymore because they're going all remote in the cloud, they called it.
Yeah.
I'm like, in the cloud? How am I going to fit in the cloud? What about me in the cloud? I can rain and storm. What about me? I'm the person who did it. Well, I'm sorry, Randy, but So I'm sitting there thinking, well, at this point I'm 66. Well, bills are paid. Maybe God says slow down a little bit. Because I'm working, and this is still a problem. I work 52 weeks a year. Tony, I want to go to his party. I'm doing 3 shows. I'm doing 3 shows that week. I'm at Niagara Falls, then I do a show in Pittsburgh, then I do a live show in Charleston, West Virginia. So I can't go to his. I missed my 50-year high school reunion. Pals I've had to stay at my house to go to NASCAR and watch Chiefs games that I can't go see because I'm here. But so our son comes from Denver. Really great kid. I'm so proud of him. He works for Cook Security. They do security for ATMs, and he runs the thing. Smart kid. So he takes after his mom, and he says, "Well, why don't you set up your own website?" I said, "Set up my own website?" He goes, "Yeah." He said, "I got a buddy I went to high school with down in Sedalia, Missouri, who's nationally known for setting up websites." They can do that? Yeah. So I call him up, and these 2 guys, 2 IT kids, watch my show for about a month. They make a semi-duplicate of what I'm doing. They build a website for me. I call Rennie Hippler, the Track Data president. She says, "Oh, Randy, yeah, that's a great idea." She says, "The people love you." She says, "We just can't do it anymore." She says, "Go ahead." I said, "Could I use the big jackpot betting thing?" She goes, "Yeah, just change the .com to .net, which I did, and you can do it. So, and I was nice to her, helping her out over the years. So That was 3 years ago, so now I own BigJackpotBetting.net. Do I know where it's going? What's going to happen? I don't know, but I do know one thing. We did, those two tracks did $353 million last year, and one of them was doing $25,000 a night in 2011. So the internet, and I've got all these players all over the world, many of them were at the Woodlands. I have a guy, and I give them all nicknames, of course, too. I have Cash Taker, the human ATM machine in Jacksonville. I have fabulous Frankie Giordano in Boston. He always gets it in to win. So I open each show and I go, live from suburban Kansas City, this is Randy Birch on BigJackpotBetting.net. I'm not in my closet right now, but I'm not coming out of my closet, my famous broadcast closet, until everyone wins in this show tonight. That's how I start every show. And every time I go to do an OTB or something, Randy, have you come out of the closet yet? It's turned into, so the closet thing is like Woody. It's turned into this thing where people get a kick out of it. So silly things like that you don't think anything of at the time. You're just making up stuff as you go.
You know what? There was a time when you didn't know the internet from a hairnet.
Oh, I didn't. Well, see, the funny thing about that is, too, when KFKF, before Wilkes Broadcasting bought it, they knew the newsroom wasn't going to be there anymore. Yeah. Radio news is like newspapers. It got ate up by the internet. And if I could do anything over, I should have seen that coming. I should have seen that, but I was comfortable.
But it's all good, man.
We're doing well.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. But if I could do that over, that's one of the things I would have got out before. I don't know what I would have done, but I would have got out before. But so they had everything in the station was computerized except my room. So the joke around the station became, and I understand it, oh, Randy's too old to learn about computers. Well, the guy that's too old to learn about computers, guess what? He owns a computer business. I guess he's not too dumb, is he? I guess he's not too old, is he? I guess not. So that's how it all, but Jimmy Smith was the greatest teacher in the world because, and Tom Crick was helpful too. I worked with
good friend.
And that's nothing. It's just a different way of thinking. Downloading programs, just like what Tony, your son, does so well.
Yeah.
You download programs. It's just a different way of doing things. I said, just show me how to get in, and I'll figure out the rest. And I have figured out the rest. It's not hard at all. So every day I have a chat room where people come in. They log in. We have races going on one side of the screen. I basically have a talk show around races. Here's so-and-so. He hasn't been late in a month. And all this stuff, you know. This man's working on his next divorce. I mean, it's basically, it's a talk show around having fun with people. It's like, it's the Woodlands all over again, except it's on the internet. So
BigJackpotBetting.net.
BigJackpotBetting.net. We're winning. Happens. You might have not won the last 10 years. Maybe the last 20 years. Maybe you haven't won anything all year, but tonight, it only takes one. It only takes one race. And it happened tonight. But that job set up more stuff for me, did it? I mean, I could tell you, I had somebody watch me in Canada one time when I was working with you. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you remember this. Yeah. They had me go down. Lady calls me from Canada. She says, Randy, I'll give you $500 if you do 5 make-believe races for me. I said, what do you mean? She says, we have what we call a Renaissance feast that goes on downtown every year. A bunch of rich people get together from Canada, and they bet on a menu. They bet on a menu, and they put all their money in a hat, and whoever predicts the winner, they split up the money. So I was part of their entertainment. So I'll never forget this, because she sends a Renaissance suit for me with a sword. I have a sachet. Okay, I'm thinking, this is just, I wish there was only one guy who saw it.
I saw it.
Okay, yeah, and Corey Ellis at night, because I went to all my friends that were still up at night. I said, you got to see this before I take it back. So anyway, I said, the one thing, I've done a lot of gigs like this before. You know, I was with Colonel Billy the night that he wrestled a bear. I was his manager.
Well,
I mean, I've done a lot of these gigs.
Well,
and you end up...
Who asked you? You remember when Colonel Billy came to the station?
Yeah.
And he asked you.
Yeah.
And then he goes, here, ask him. Colonel Billy comes up to me and goes, hey, kid, you want to wrestle a bear? I'm looking at him.
That was the greatest gig of all.
Oh,
so anyway, I get there, and I said, the one rule I have with these gigs, I got to have the money when I get there. I'm chasing money all over the country. I don't have a collection service, so I'll do it. But you got. I get there, and she's a young gal, could be your daughter, your granddaughter. Tears come out of her eyes. I go, what's wrong, honey? I left your check at the hotel. I said, oh man. And my wife at the time was spending money more the faster the U.S. Mint could print it. So I probably already had that $500 spent on something else I don't know about yet. So I'm thinking, Not my current wife, by the way. It's just wonderful. But I see her. She starts crying. I thought. So I call her, my wife. I said, I'm going to do it. I think she's a good kid. I think she's all right. All right, but I wouldn't do it. Well, you don't have the ability to do it. I guess you wouldn't do it. So anyway, I did it. She had it couriered to my house the next day. She was telling me the truth.
Yeah, I remember.
The Colonel Billy deal was he has me as manager. He's wrestling, honest to God, a $2,500 pound bear. So we get there. He goes, well, here's my old friend Randy Birch, Woody himself. He said he's in my corner today. And these kids are all gathered around watching Colonel Billy. And one of the things, they all get Colonel Billy coloring books. At the end of the deal, okay? He somehow made
You remember
the deal.
those commercials?
Oh, yeah. So anyway, somewhere, Randy Schultz from Sportview Television at the Woodlands took a video of this. Somewhere there's a video of this. I'm sure it'll be used against me to extort money somewhere down my life. But anyway, they take a video of this thing, and I swear to God, Billy, he puts his head in the bear's mouth. His head looked like an Egg McMuffin. In the dog's mouth, and the bear doesn't do anything. And finally, the bear gets tired of Billy, and he throws him down. And Billy's in the corner like this. I go, Billy, you okay? About that time, the promotions guy comes up and says, hey, Billy, you got to get out of the lobby and autograph these coloring books for these kids. And he goes, I just wrestled a goddamn $2,500 bear, and you want me to sign your own coloring books? Ready? Let's get out of here.
Oh, my God.
But I had all kinds of gigs like that you wouldn't even think of. But because they saw you do a race and their imaginations went wild, I was the voice of dot to dot at the Hearn Center for basketball games. They had me do make believe dot to dots. They play at halftime. So I was the voice of the KU radio station. I say, hey, this is Randy Birch at the Woodlands. Here comes Woody. When I'm in Lawrence, I listen to and whatever the call letters are. I did all that. It opened up more doors for me, including what I'm doing now. So you know, if you think I have life figured out after all of that, I know they're great people like Tony and Bill, great people I've met along the way. The only sad part of it is when you start out young like I did, boy, I've spoken a lot of funerals.
Oh, yeah.
I told Mrs. Birch I got 2 more to go, and I don't need seminary. I was at Union Station the other day, and a block away from the radio station, I thought of Dave Monday, John Duncan, Dan Donovan. I can name them all. They were good friends of mine. We did a lot of stuff together. I got a little melancholy thinking about it. I said, well, it's the way life is. But I always love the people I work with. And like I said, I've been part of some pretty good radio stations. And the good thing about it is, unlike a lot of my people I know in this business, I didn't have to hurt anybody. I didn't have to do anything bad to somebody.
Well,
I saw people do stuff to people that you know, I'm like, you can live with yourself. Yeah. And I'll tell you, there were some things going on when I worked for the Chiefs. I went there in '95, and Dan Roberts and I were the 2 voice people in the booth, which they're still doing now, I guess, to this day. Yeah. And this wonderful job I'm doing for like 12 seasons, that suddenly becomes political. Yeah. 2007, this was before Andy Reid and these people came in. And I'm like, you know, I didn't have anything else going at the time. I said, no, I'm not going to be part of this. They had this thing, and this isn't reflection of the Chiefs because it was one person that came in. Craig Retmer, who was a friend of mine who passed away, who ran Aerovision for 25 years, brilliant technician. He had his own shop on the plaza. They'd bring in a person behind you, make it seem like they're an intern or something, and they'd bring us food. Randy, you want another beverage? Do you want this? And all of a sudden, that person had Craig's job the next year. Yeah. Then they did the same thing with Danny Roberts. Yeah. Okay.
We know that.
And I'm like. So anyway, Howie Ehrenberg calls me up, and Howie doesn't know he's on the way out too at this point. He calls me up in 2007 preseason. Randy, you ready to go preseason? He says, we got a young person that wants to stand behind you and learn what you're doing. I said, I'll tell you what, Howie. Here's what he can learn. He can do it himself this week. Well, Randy, no, you have too much fun here. I said, no, I'm not having that much fun, Howie. I'm not going to let you do this. You do this, my friends. No. Yeah. So I've been able to live with. I sleep good at night, even when I've been broke. I sleep really good at night because I haven't hurt anybody, and having great friends. Like
You're everybody's friend.
I can't tell you. And I've made so many great friends. You know, Mike Murphy, I see at funerals. Bill Grigsby, who I was with at the racetrack.
Yeah.
Greg's used to have me do. That's another thing. I got to do duck races every year at the sports show. All these people. Mike Murphy calls me when I'm here a week. He reads Barry Guerin's article. He goes, young man, we need to get together. This is Mike Murphy at KCMO. He said, you and I have worked at 4 of the same places in a row. He reads my resume. 4, in other words, he went from Ottumwa to Cedar Rapids to the Quad Cities to Kansas City. Mm-hmm. The only thing I missed was Springfield. We worked at the same places. Mm-hmm. So he always had a joke, Randy and I know who all the pricks and all the good guys are. And we became great friends. And of course, when the racetrack opened, Murphy was there.
Oh, yeah.
And Murphy had this way of setting up interviews. It was just the most. I'd be on KCMO opening day at the Woodlands. Well, here's my old pal, Randy Birch, another Hawkeye from Iowa, we'd say. Randy, I was wondering what he's thinking is, how do I know when the next race is coming up? But he asked me, Randy, how do you know who you are, where you are anyway? That's how he started thinking, how do you know where you are anyway? And I go, Mike, I've never thought of that. I don't know. But he was like that. One day he opened an interview. I was at Chapels with him, with Mother Mers, who used to work with the KMBC.
Jim Chapels.
Kurt Mers, who was a University of Iowa All-American. I used to watch him play football as a kid. And he said, well, I'm with my old pal Mother Mers here at Chapels Restaurant. He said, pal, he says, Mother Mers, Rush Limbaugh got you fired at KMBC. That's how he starts the interview. And Kurt says, Mike, that never happened. And Mike said, it better. I've made up the story for 25 years now. That was Mike Murphy. But we became great friends. Great friends. And the one night we named dogs after our favorite people. We had Mike Murphy the dog race, Mike Murphy the man. I called it Man versus Beast. Man versus Beast. Come out at Saturday night. So I set up a news conference at Westport. This one we were working together too. I set up a news conference at Westport where Bulldog Bob Brown, of course, would be the dog's manager. And Bob Geigel, the great man from Iowa, the Chrome Dome himself. Bob Geigel is going to be the manager of Mike Murphy. So I had Bulldog and Mike Murphy come in. I said, well, who's going to win this race? And Bob says, my boy Mike here. We've been traded. I mean, we did the whole Don King kind of thing. It was just insane. So Kathy, his wife, makes a spacesuit for Mike. And Mike a limousine drives up to the track, and Mike comes out the top wearing a spacesuit, complete with a bubble helmet. He gets out, and the rule was Mike's got a 3/4 league on the racetrack. So I'm making up all of this stuff. Murphy wrote about it in his book. I'm making up, who is this man from outer space? Where has he been? Wait a minute. It looks like Mike Murphy. And then there's Mike Murphy, the dog. And of course, he beat the dog by about 2 lengths. Mike was just amazing. Then one night we had Blenway retire. 10,000 people were there that night, too. Blenway, this famous dog I call him the Kansas City champ, retires. Bill Grigsby and I are supposed to host this retirement for this dog. Bill and I are there in tuxedos at the bar, and I said, Bill, there's 10,000 people here tonight, Griggs. If you or I retire or die, there ain't going to be 10 people here. I said, this is amazing that all these people love this dog. So anyway, I go down the track. The spotlight comes down. The track goes dark. We did our usual show. The spotlight goes down. And Bill's thing is he's going to interview the dog. He's going to get the final interview with the dog. We have it all set up. He's going to the dog is going to finally get his say. So anyway, he gets out there, and I swear to God, the dog gets right next to Bill, and he bends down. He takes a dump. He takes a dump, and Bill Grigsby, God bless him, being the great master of ceremonies he was, said, "Wow, Randy, what a way to go out!" and at that point, you could hear a pin drop, and we're all just rolling over laughing. Oh, God. We were fun like that.
Yeah.
And to get paid to have fun, to work with Tony, all the fun we had.
We more laughs than,
and the thing about the Woodlands was it was like a little city, so we all loved each other so much that you think about this. We'd work 6 days a week. And Bob Geigel would organize a lunch for racetrack employees on Tuesday, and he'd pick out the restaurant. Then he'd start out every day, Randy, where are we going to eat at next? I said in my book, I think I had more lunches with Bob Geigel than I did my mother. every Tuesday. And when he passed away, Vera's wife called me and asked me to do his obituary.
Yeah.
And when he went in the Hall of Fame, the Wrestling Hall of Fame, I don't know if it's still there, was in Newton, Iowa. Randy, I'm going to the Wrestling Hall of Fame. You got to come up and see it this weekend. So I got in my car, drove up to Newton, Iowa. And Bob gets up. He says, and it was Baron von Raschke, the guy with the Iron Claw.
The Iron Claw.
Iron Claw. Iron Claw. They go in the Hall of Fame, and Bob gets up and he says, you know, I think back to working at the farm in Algona, Iowa, and I'd like to thank you all for having me. And he sits down. Well, he thanked his mother for having him, and he sat down. I go up and I said, you asshole. I drove up all this way thinking you'd give a big speech. Maybe talk about the Woodlands. Maybe talk about all our lunches together. He goes, no, I didn't want to do it today. But that was Bob. Bob was just a great guy.
Well, I got to tell you one thing. So this is all.
I've got one more character that you'll remember.
Oh, who?
Who you grew up with.
Which one?
He ran a housing business, lumber company. Joe Bricado.
Oh,
Who your dad did. Who your dad
Well,
did.
and-
One of the sweetest guys. One night I'm at the racetrack.
man.
One night I'm at the racetrack. Can you imagine meeting all these people?
Joe B.
How good God has been to me, meeting all these people. This is Joe Bricado. I get a call one night
Joe B.
after the races say, Randy, some guy that looks like a gangster is out of the elevator and he wants to meet you. Do you want to meet him? I said, I don't know, but I'll meet anybody. It doesn't matter. So I go down and Joe, he's right. He looks like a raccoon. He's got these circles under his eyes. This guy that looked like a gangster said, Randy, I love your energy when you call races. He goes, have you ever thought about being Santa Claus? I said, yeah, every year, and I wonder if I can do it. Yeah, I do wonder about it. He said, you would be a great Santa. Well, and so I started doing Santa voices. And then he said, every year, he said, because his kid had a special illness.
Yeah.
His grandkid.
Yeah.
Joe Bricado, who owns Citywide Builders.
Citywide Builders.
Every year would go to 300 area schools that had special education programs. This is talk about giving love. He found out what every kid wanted for Christmas.
Yeah.
And he would rent the Marriott downtown. Okay? He had Brian Busby, who I saw here, who, by the way, I used to do schools with, and he never did any of those crazy voices.
Yeah.
I would have loved that.
Crazy?
Oh, he was just wonderful. So anyway, Brian was a Santa, and I was a Santa. And these kids would come in from all these schools. Some of them were teenagers.
Yeah.
And every kid had his name on a gift. The Chiefs mascot would come. The Slugger would come.
You guys
and
did that
he would
for
throw a party.
years.
He'd have a band in. He did this every year. For 25 years, I was Santa Claus. And when I met my wife, when we first started dating, I met my wife, by the way, by helping out somebody. There we go again. Isn't that funny how that works?
Joe B was one of the greatest,
But-
and I'm still friends with his wife and I speak all the
she's a
time.
doll.
Frances.
Give Frances my best.
Yeah,
so
I
anyway,
absolutely will.
anyway, I told my wife when she came with me and she became Mrs. Claus, I said, you're going to cry first time you see this. Because these kids
Big deal.
would sit in
Yeah.
your lap. I mean, I go out of there, they pull your pants about down, I had pillows all over the place. They would jump on you, but you'd see the love in their face, and it would make you cry. You realize how lucky you are if you have healthy children and a healthy family. And but Joe did this for about 25 years, and we'd all get together in this back room, and Danny Mears, Casey Wolf, I would come in and put his suit on, and we'd all sit there. Well, here we go for another year. It was about a 2-hour party, and as you'd walk to your car, the kids were on buses. Santa, Santa. Oh,
it was wonderful.
It was. So anyway, how I met Mrs. Birch was another situation where God tells you help someone. My longtime broker friend of mine, Gary Krings, who worked in Morgan Stanley on the plaza, calls me up one day and says, Randy, he said, are you going to come to our Bible study? He's setting up a Bible study. I said, sure, we went to church together. Yeah, I'll be there. What day? Wednesday at noon. Okay. And, of course, I'm doing 80 gigs, so why not put another one in the middle? But I knew it was a good thing. He said, there's a young man I want you to meet. His name is Randy Becker. And he's never seen anything in his life. He's been blind from birth, and he's been doing cold calls for me at Morgan Stanley. He said, I want to help him out. I'm thinking you can get him. And he runs a radio control board. I said, what? He worked at BOT on weekends forever at KCCV, the Christian station, and he would run a control board. And he was flawless. Brilliant guy. Brilliant guy. So Randy and I became best friends because we both loved radio. He'd listened to me for years, and we just got along great. And I was like, when I was getting a little tired, or a little down, I think, what is it like to be Randy every day? Man can't see anything. You know, you want to do that, turn all the lights off in your house and try to move around and see what a person like that deals with. Eh? So anyway, we'd have Wednesday lunches together, Randy and I, for years. One day he comes to me. He said, Randy, I'm really worried about my sister. I said, your sister? She don't live here, does she? He said, no, but he's the most caring, loving person you ever meet in your life. Could you help her out? I'm like, Randy, after going through a divorce, I'm still lucky. I'm lucky to be here with you now. I said, I don't want to. Oh, no, just give her advice to deal with what she's dealing with. I said, okay. So he pulls out a newspaper clipping that has her in there and 3 other girls. And it's the Sedalia Meals on Wheels program that my current wife ran at the time. And she got some kind of award. He's saying, but he can't tell me which one it is, of course, because he can't see it. So in my mind, I'm thinking, man, I hope it's that hot blonde in the middle, if that's what he's trying to do. So anyway, another thing I told God I'd never do is meet somebody on the internet. That was another thing that on Randy's not-to-do list. I'll never buy a house in Kansas. I'm never going to get back into racing again. All these things I say I'm never going to do, I end up doing. So anyway, she says, she starts coming up. Before then, she asked for a promotions picture. So I have an old KFKF black and white promotions picture, and I'm thinking, once she sees this, I'll never hear from her again. But I'm helping Randy out. He's asking me to do it. So Randy ended up needing a place to live, and Randy lived with me on the plaza. I had a condo on the plaza called Jefferson's down there, and Randy lived with me for a while. And then she said, I'd like to meet you. I'm like, gee, the ugly picture didn't do it. So anyway, she comes up, and we had what we call Relax with Randy Sundays, where she could get away from the situation she was in. We go to movies, we ate dinner, and then Randy decided, well, I need to do more than relax. And we were together 20 years this summer, and Randy Becker's still my best friend. He now works at Alpha Point. He's a longtime employee. He's doing great, fabulous work. But again, one of those things that I'm no saint, believe me, but the one thing I've learned in life, you got a Randy Becker that comes to you. You have somebody coming to you, you need something, do it. It's God's way of talking to you, and he pays you off in the back end. And other than that, 49 years of broadcasting and a lot of good friends. I don't know if I really learned anything other than that.
Well,
except that these people could. No, they can't fire me now because I did the contract.
That's right.
That's
and you are a saint because Teresa's been with you all this time. That's all I got to say.
They got the over-under on that one somewhere,
your wife is the best. I mean, I love Teresa.
She told me that. She loves seeing those grandkids. Give Jerry my best. Loves seeing those. How many grandkids you have now?
12. No, 13 now. We just had a new
13?
one. We just had a new one. He became a grandfather.
You're
for
just
the
like
third
my
time.
family. We can't keep our pants on.
It's
just unbelievable.
Well,
I've got 7 grandkids, 2 great grandkids in Denver, and every time I see them, I said, that's awful nice, but I'm really not that great. Okay, but it's nice of you to say. It's.
You know what? You are, and we're really glad that you came
Bill,
here. You're the best, man. You are the best.
I love what you're doing, and you guys are.
Thanks,
I've learned, like I said, I've learned that how Frank White got screwed. My old friend, watching this show. I love Bobby Hines. I believe.
Bobby Hines,
the guy that owns this place. You folks need to come out to this place because what they're doing here is basically what I just talked to you about.
Yes.
That's what they're doing here. They're helping people. It's just, and again, he went through it himself. Yeah. So he doesn't want to see somebody go through that.
That's right.
I was treated badly by some old broadcasters along the way. So when I see a young person and that I can help out, I always make sure that I'm extra because I know when you're by yourself and you have people that don't believe in you, that are trying to put you down, how hard it is. You gotta, and I didn't have anybody reaching for me. So you got to reach a little deep and help somebody out. But it's all good. Love you guys.
You're the best. Love you. BigJackpotBetting.net.
Yes.
The one and only.
Where winning happens. And I'm not coming out of my closet until you win. And I got 50 years next year, so don't let me come out of my closet yet.
Randy Birch, and you know what?
Woody is underway.
At my funeral.
Yeah. Oh, no problem. Just make sure it's not soon, okay? I'm sure I got 2 booked I don't even know about now.
Oh, my God. Randy Birch, everybody.
Thank you all. It was
Thank
wonderful.
you so much.